Hey guys, it's Gregory Iron. And before we start the episode today, I just want to point out that Aaron, in typical airhead fashion, accidentally shut off his microphone about 18 minutes into this episode. Luckily, Aaron is loud. I was able to turn up my mic and recover the next 10 minutes of audio that remained in the intro. And it's not that bad. We apologize for this audio snafu. I do promise you will still enjoy the episode. Our guest, Chris Hamrick, one of my all-time favorite in-ring performers, one of my all-time favorite people. It's a great interview. It's a long interview. And we have even more of that interview over at patreon.com/irononwrestling because Chris loves to talk. So there is the extended version of the episode over on Patreon right now, where you can get starting at $3 along with a buttload of bonus content, over 150 bonus episodes, extended episodes, early episodes. It's a great offer. Patreon.com/irononwrestling. And it's a great way to support the show. Make sure you follow us on social media at Iron on Wrestling on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And before we start the podcast today, I just want to point out manscaped.com. Have you heard about it? It's an incredible website that offers incredible products. Proud sponsor of the show, but also I'm a proud user of Manscaped. That's right. I'm not just the president of the Iron on Wrestling Manscaped Club, but I'm also a client. I use their grooming tools on a regular basis, including their Performance Package 4.0. That's right, the whole thing, which includes a Lawnmower 4.0, which is great for shaving my balls, the Weed Whacker, which is great for trimming my nose hair, ear hair. I mean, listen, I'm getting older. The hair on my face, in my nose, in my ears, getting longer, more embarrassing. That's why I love the Weed Whacker. And of course, that hair down there, I don't need it in my life. Over 70% of mates prefer that I don't have hair down there. And so why bother with it? Manscaped makes it easy to take care of those grooming issues down there. I don't have to worry about nicks, cuts, any of that. Plus, in the Performance Package 4.0, they include so many extras like ball deodorant, and I could get cologne, which is not part of the Performance Package 4.0, but they do have it on their website. They have body wash as well. But also in the Performance Package 4.0, if I get that, you got the boxer briefs, which you get as a free gift. You get the travel bag. What an offer. Manscaped.com. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I want more of it. And you should want more of it too. You will want the best for your balls, wouldn't you? I want the best for your balls. You don't have to show me your balls after you use Manscaped. I'll take your word for it. But I promise you, you're going to want to go to manscaped.com. You're going to want to use promo code PARDON. That's PARDON, PARDON. You're going to save 20% and get free shipping. Do it. Do it now. It's a great way to support the show. I'm going to support you in this process going forward. Perhaps maybe you have a hard time coming to terms with the idea that mates prefer shaving balls. I'm telling you, it's okay. It's going to be okay. Shave those balls and do it with Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Pardon. Save 20% and get free shipping. Now, let's go to your regularly scheduled Iron on Wrestling podcast. Bye.
Initiating podcast download. Prepare yourself. Put on your spandex. Lace up your boots. Wrap your wrists. Hide your razor blade. Head to gorilla position. Grease up your hair. Apply baby oil. Okay, apply more baby oil. Get into gimmick. Keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Have fun and be safe out there, brother. Welcome to Iron on Wrestling. Now your host, Gregory Iron.
We've got laughs from coast to coast to make you smile. A real life look at each of you to capture all that style. You're the red, white, and blue. The funny things you do, America, America, this is you. Stories from your friends next door, they never told. You might be a star tonight, so let that camera roll. You're the red, white, and blue. All the funny things you do, America, America, this is you. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iron on Wrestling with Gregory Iron. I am your host, Gregory Iron, and this is episode 137. Bob's up in heaven. It's,
I used to suck dick for coke. I seen him.
Oh, boy.
Pardon the interruption.
Oh, that was quite the interruption. Wow.
Aaron Bauer's in the building, but unfortunately, we lost one of the great ones, Bob Saget.
Man.
Maybe the best, arguably the best, all-time best TV dad.
Well, I don't think that's arguable because I feel like maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago, you might have said Bill Cosby. But you know what?
Yeah.
He's definitely out of the running.
Right.
So I think the winner is Bob Saget.
And that line was the all-time classic for me because I was not expecting that line, and I was not expecting that man to be delivering it in the movie Half-Baked.
Half-Baked, what a classic.
Yeah, tremendous movie.
Same. I was not expecting that, and it added to the appeal of Half-Baked for me. And, we lost Norm last year, and Bob Saget was the man behind you and I, one of our favorite movies of Norm, Dirty Work, he's the one that directed it.
Yeah.
And Bob Saget, obviously, a lot of people's TV dad as a kid, but before Full House and before America's Funniest Home Videos, he was a very, very, very dirty comic. And then post Full House, he went back to being a very, very, very dirty comic. And there's a lot of stuff out there that is just insanely controversial.
Very, 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 very dirty.
Yes, and there are bits that he's done about him having sexual endeavors with the Olsen twins, and it gets wild out there with Bob Saget. But I gotta tell you, this bothers me more than I would have thought that it bothers me. And maybe from outsider looking in, you think to yourself, well, Greg, you literally would take days off from wrestling and your actual job to binge watch Fuller House the first day it would come out on Netflix. I mean, not many adult men are doing that, I feel like.
I still haven't seen all the seasons.
Well, you're missing out. Okay. And so yesterday when I found this out, as we record this is Monday, and I found out, obviously, when everyone else did, probably about 2 minutes after, because I was with Nicole and Jess and their friends Ariel and Mark. And we're getting ready to watch Cruella, the Disney film, the live-action gimmick. And Nicole said, I got to post.
Wait. How many of you were there?
Me, Nicole, Jess, Ariel, and Mark.
Wow, that's uneven. Does that ever get weird?
I don't think so.
Well, you're with Nicole, right?
Yeah.
And Ariel and Mark is his name?
Yeah.
They're together, correct? Yes. So, next time you might want to think about, paging me.
I didn't just send you an invitation, or did it get lost in the mail?
That must have been it. Hold on, let me check my email. Sometimes with my spam folder.
Yeah.
I'll
Why don't you check that real quick, you delusional fuck. So Nicole says, Becca, her friend Becca, just sent me a link from TMZ, and it said Bob Saget died. And when she said that, I was like, no. And I immediately went to Twitter.
Yep.
That horrible cesspool, and I just searched Bob Saget, and all of a sudden it's just, it's just hitting the internet, and I'm like, fuck, and I'm like, what? This is actually bothering me, and like I immediately text Gargano because I knew of all my friends he would actually care, and he didn't hear it yet. And he's like, "Oh no, this is real." And then I told you before we started recording, he's like, "Oh, I guess we're getting to the point where all the people that we enjoyed as kids are now dying."
Yeah,
and that is very hard for me to cope with. I actually, as many of you know, once the pandemic started, I went back to working a regular job when I'm not podcasting and not wrestling and all that good stuff. I walked into the office today because I am very dark and very morbid, and I walked up to one of my managers and I said, "Hey, I apologize today if I'm a little, quiet and distant because my my dad passed away last night." And my manager looked at me with such concern, and before she could even say anything, I go, "I'm sorry, my TV dad passed away, Bob Saget, Danny Tanner." And she said, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Do you think I can talk to someone about maybe some bereavement pay or something? I would like to take a couple days off." And she's like, "Yeah, we'll look into it for you." I would like to think that Bob Saget would appreciate that a little bit. I never met the man, but I will say, before the pandemic, literally, and you know that I don't go to see a lot of big stand-up comics. One of them was Norm that I went and saw. There was a loop of shows that Bob was going to do in like Rochester and Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I was trying to plan a couple wrestling shows around also being able to stay in town to go see Bob Saget do stand-up. And it was like in these little clubs in Rochester and Buffalo to where I was like, oh, maybe I could like meet him and get a picture with him. That would be really cool. And of course, pandemic happened. And obviously those shows didn't happen. Now he's back on tour, and he was back on tour.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's so weird to say that.
What's, I find odd is that your paths never crossed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He just seems like that'd be a guy you'd have met or had went to, maybe he was doing a stand-up gig or something, and you had been to something. Yeah.
It just never happened.
I used to manage him.
What?
Yeah.
Why would you have never mentioned this?
This was back in Mega.
What?
Yeah. Crazy Bob Savage.
That, first of all, I don't know who that is, but that is not Bob Saget, you piece of shit. What a terrible joke. Okay? Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing at that? Because it's not funny.
You're so mad right now. He's red, people. He's red.
It's just not necessary.
What about when you do the 9/11 jokes?
That's Norm Macdonald. That's not me. What are you talking about? I do have a very dark, morbid sense of humor. I laugh to get through pain for anything. Like, I was immediately making jokes involving Bob Saget after he passed away, and I understand that tragic events affect people in very different ways, and I'm a very emotional guy, and I cope through laughter. But because no one is allowed to joke about anything anymore. And like, I get, like, again, people have sensitivities towards certain things. I don't like people particularly saying the R word, for example, right? But I can understand that there was a time in society where people said that and it was commonplace. Doesn't make it right. But, like, what am I going to do? Go back in time and, get someone in trouble for saying that in a public forum or in a movie or something?
Look, how much I don't like that and how much involved with the developmentally disabled population I am. But I get it because it's a different word all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that used to be the word everybody used.
Sure.
I mean, the name, that word was in the name of the diagnosis.
Yeah.
But then that changed, and it changes something else, and it changes something else.
And listen, I might have shared this on the show before. Everybody find something to get offended about. It seems like when we work together, the center that we work for is literally called blah blah blah, Center of Developmental Disabilities, right?
Yes.
And so,
but it used to be called Center of Mental Retardation.
correct. But one time I posted on social media about working with people with developmental disabilities,
Yes.
and someone commented like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Developmental disabilities? Like, how could you say that?" I'm like, "Are you kidding? Like, that's literally the name of the place,
Yeah.
and a much more proper term than some other terms that are used."
Yes.
So it's like, my point in all this rambling is Bob Saget, for being such a family-friendly guy, it sort of got established that way through AFV and through Full House. He said a lot of controversial stuff, some real messed up stuff. Like if you go on YouTube and search, I think dirtiest joke ever. There's one that comes up with Bob Saget where he just talks about incest, and it's real bad, right?
Yeah.
And there's some things on the internet that, again, like, and this goes for guys like Bob Saget, Rob Williams, Chappelle is getting heat now. Comics say some controversial stuff. And like Chappelle is probably more of a current example, but people with nothing better to do want to go out of their way and try to get rid of people that have the courage to put themselves out there and like try to, in this case, create laughter out of things that are incredibly sad, right? And I don't know, I'd like to think that somewhere out there, Bob Saget, if his spirit is somewhere, he would want people to make weird, messed up jokes about his death and stuff. I don't know the guy personally to say that, but I'd like to think that based on everything I know about his persona, I think he would appreciate that. And I guess a rambling about cancel culture maybe wasn't warranted in this. I don't know, but like it's just we didn't really have a format about what
Here's
we're
what
talking
I
about
like.
today.
I'll peel the banana back a little bit.
Okay.
Right before we started, we got our microphones hooked up, and I said, "So what are we going to do? You're going to do the introduction. I'm going to interrupt you, and then we're going to go into Saget, and then after that, I said, we got nothing, right?" And you were like, "Yeah, I don't have anything else."
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, me neither. Somehow we'll get 34 out of it."
Yeah.
So where are we at right now?
We're at about 14 minutes. But
Okay, we got 20
so,
more.
And listen, there are some people that need to be called out on social media that do fucked up things and should be punished. But also, like, I don't know, in the law, in the court of law that is Twitter, like, it seems like anything that you do wrong, the sentence is forever. You know what I'm saying? It's a life sentence, no matter what you do, no matter what place and time you did it, and no one is under the belief that some people can grow and change. And again, that does not go for everybody. Not everybody can grow and change. There are people that out there that do fucked up things and maybe don't deserve the opportunity for that, or maybe deserve a fucking long period of time to try to develop that, or need to develop that behind bars, like maybe you could become a better person behind bars, but you definitely should never be free again. But
everybody can see everything because there's phones and, everybody's got Twitter so they can talk about it.
Yeah.
You're a big baseball guy. You remember
Yeah.
Albert Bell?
Sure do.
Okay, some kids came to his house on Halloween looking for candy.
I remember this.
Yeah, and he told them to go away. And I don't know if they had eggs or something, or they were mad. They were yelling at him. He got in a vehicle and chased them down the street and ran one over. Like, nowadays, that would be on video.
For sure.
Somebody would have captured it.
The person
Somebody
getting ran over would have took the video while running and got ran over.
Well, yeah, everything's more prevalent now. No, everything's, especially then what you were saying, like with Twitter. Like, we didn't have that back in the day. So, like, Albert Bell was only hated here in Cleveland.
Yeah.
For that.
I mean, I never hated Albert.
No. If he was going to
Great
hit home
athlete.
runs, I didn't care
Yeah.
if he hit children.
Put that cork in the bat. You know, that's fine.
we ever talk about that before?
The cork in the bat?
When he had the corked bat? Yeah.
I don't know if we've talked about it on air, but I remember it was like a big deal.
Yeah.
How does a
So-
cork bat work? Explain that for people that don't know.
So in baseball, you get...
I'm sorry, you were stammering over your words there.
Yeah, no. I mean, I got it just off the top of my head. I'm going to try to rattle this off. But in baseball, a corked bat is a specially modified baseball bat that has been filled with cork or other lighter, less dense substances to make the bat lighter.
Why are you looking at your phone while you say that?
Oh, I see if I got a text from one of my friends.
You don't have any friends except for the guy in this room.
A lighter bat, as you would know,
Uh-huh.
a baseball guy you are, a lighter bat gives a hitter a quicker swing and may improve the hitter's timing.
Timming. You thought the word was timming. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Albert
So
Bell.
he had this cork bat, which was making home runs happen for
Yeah.
him. Hit a lot of home runs. Somebody had stooged him off to the baseball officials, and an umpire took one of his bats, and they put it in the umpire locker room for safekeeping, so that they could go send the bat out to a lab and get it examined to see if
Examinated.
I like
What is
that
wrong
word.
with you today?
Yeah, that was a good one, huh?
Did not think this would come to frustration.
Yeah, so they were going to examine the bat, and a pitcher, like a rookie on the Indians team, went through like the drop ceiling and crawled through the ducts like in a movie.
Like in Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and then kicked open the vent, the air conditioning unit, dropped down, stole the bat that was Albert Bell's, replaced it with another bat that wasn't corked,
Okay.
and then he went back through the ducts and came back down into the Indians' locker room.
Do we know who did that? And did
Yeah.
they get punished?
Oh, man. Can't think of his name right now. Give me a minute now. Let me get through the story.
Okay.
Okay, so then he came back down with that bat, and then after the game, the umpires convened in their office, in their locker room, and they grabbed the bat, and the bat, Albert Bell's bat was black.
Yeah.
This bat was brown. And it also said Paul Sorrento's bat.
Okay. Well,
The umpire looked at it and he went, what? And then they looked up and they're like, the little cage that's on the front of the bat.
yeah. Yep.
You know, that was popped open.
Wow. I did not know that part of the story. That's absurd.
Yeah, I'll look up what that is.
So ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, so that was a thing that happened definitely in the 90s. Also, listen, I'm not going to divulge my resources, but I recently found out on good authority that and this is mostly for Cleveland Indians fans and fans of Cleveland sports in general, or if you ever watched the documentary Believe Land, you'll be interested to know that I know someone that was very close with Jose Mesa, and the night before Game 7 of the World Series in 1997, Jose Mesa may or may not have been hungover. Okay, and I'm not going to divulge any other details other than that. So that is the reason why we lost the final game of the World Series in 1997. And again, I have sources that have given me this information recently, and no one ever talks about that.
Yeah.
And it's super messed up, and was
Can't believe this is breaking news.
and again,
Also,
listen.
reckless speculation.
Yeah, well, listen. People don't see me as a sports guy now. We joke that I'm a baseball guy. But again, I cried when we lost Game 7 of the 1997 World Series, okay? We were so close. And I don't know if a sporting event will ever affect me the way that did. So, Jose Mesa, we still hate you, okay? and I hope that we hate you even more for your reckless abandonment before Game 7 of the World Series. We were counting on you, you prick. This has nothing to do with anything we're going to talk about today.
Do we have a guest? Or
We have a guest, but first...
Jason Grimsley.
What?
Not our guest.
Oh,
but
okay.
He was the pitcher on the Indians.
Okay, wow.
And, yeah, he replaced it with a bat that said Paul Sorrento.
Okay. Well, I didn't think that one through. But before we say our guest...
Hold on. Let me go back to this story. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm just reading. Now I'm on Wikipedia. And it says, during the 6th inning, the custodian noticed clumps of ceiling tile on the floor in the umpire's room, plus twisted metal brackets in the ceiling. After the game, the umpire noticed the bats were different. He saw the replacement bat was not the same color, and it also had Paul Sorrento's signature on it.
Oh, boy.
The Chicago police were called. Wow.
Yikes. Point of that was Albert Bell would have been canceled on social media. But to sort of put
Jason Grimsley's my new favorite baseball player, I'll tell you that.
It's so ridiculous. To put a bow on the Bob Saget thing, he touched a lot of people's lives, and some people, particularly depending on your age, might have thought Full House was corny. You know, did you really get into Full House, Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was right in my wheelhouse, my age.
Yeah.
You know, it was every Friday night, 8 p.m., and I was at my grandma's house. It was on Channel 5. I think it was like Must See. No,
TGIF.
TGIF, yeah.
Come on, get your shit together, man.
So, yeah, but I do remember. I probably watched every episode.
Yeah, I mean, depending on that period of time when Full House was on, different shows were in that time slot. But you had like Family Matters, and in later years you had Boy Meets World. But in earlier years, Perfect Strangers, which I still believe is one of the most underrated shows of all time.
Was that on Friday?
It was on TGIF. Yes, it was. Yep. And
I remember it on Wednesday nights, and I think they must have changed it over to Fridays because it was so popular. Wasn't that amazing? That guy got over so well.
Balky?
Yeah.
I love Balky.
I know.
Great.
I did then too.
From the made up city of Meepos,
Yeah.
which sometimes at shows, depending on my mood, I'll get announced as from Meepos, Ohio, and no one's like, where's Meepos at? And it doesn't exist, much like in the show. But yeah, I don't know. I love Full House. I love Bob Saget, and that shit was corny to some people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like very, very corny. And to watch Fuller House in the 20 teens, even cornier, right? But I don't know. Nostalgia does weird things to people, and I just loved everything about it. I loved Bob Saget. It's sad that I never got to meet the guy. Rest in peace, Bob. And I guess now we should talk about our guest this week.
Well, I was going to tell you that everybody in the workshop today had on some version of Full House or Fuller House.
Yeah.
Episode.
That's what I'm
It
talking
was
about.
on every television. People were watching, man.
Yeah.
The episode I saw, you said it was kind of ridiculous, the show, right?
Oh, yeah.
Corny or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah. The episode that I saw today was the girls were having a girls' night out.
Mm-hmm.
They were at some bar.
Yep.
And they were ordering tequila.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, well, that's so weird that these Tanner girls are ordering shots of tequila.
They're grown women at this point.
Still, I don't know, man.
This isn't Stephanie smoking in the bathroom anymore, okay?
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't know. It just weirded me out. But then
Was this the one with Macy Gray?
I didn't stick around long enough.
Okay.
To go drive a bus.
All right.
But,
Okay.
So, anyways, it was very corny because two guys that were brothers or something came over to Stephanie, and he started trying to talk stuff to her.
Yep, I remember this.
It was so corny.
I love it, though.
So you're right, it was corny.
I love
it. It's kind of like lovable.
But Bob Saget was awesome, and he will be missed. But let me actually talk about the guest, because I feel like we're going to spend a lot of time today with him, which is why I wanted to keep this short.
Did I tell you?
Son of a bitch, what?
What?
No, go ahead.
Why so hostile?
No, go ahead. I just want to talk about the guest on the show.
Did I tell you who the guest is?
I told you who the guest is.
Oh.
That's how you found out.
People, Chris Hamrick was on the show?
You fucker.
Huh, what?
You piece of shit.
What?
Former ECW star Chris Hamrick is on the show today. XPW, Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Your favorite job match? Everybody's favorite job match?
Yes, we will definitely talk about that on the show. The jobs that he did for the WWF, both in the 90s and in the mid-2000s. He made some appearances there. We're going to talk to Chris about a lot of stuff. And I've known Chris for a long time, and I've always been a big fan of Chris. When I was a fan of wrestling, he was always so kind to me at shows, and he went out of his way to talk shit to me at shows, and I really appreciated that. And as I became a wrestler and got into the business, I would always look to Chris for conversations on social media, and he always gave me such positive feedback, and that meant a lot to me, because if you listen to the show, you know how highly I think of Tracy Smothers, and I know how highly you think of Tracy. I really hold Chris in that same regard. He's sort of from that same era, but also the same mindset that Tracy had. And, of course, it makes sense that they would have been a tag team for a period of time as Southern Comfort, because both of the guys were old-school guys that came up in 80s wrestling. Territories were still a prevalent thing. But they were smart enough to grow and adapt and change, and they had a sense of humor about them. They could do comedy like no others, but when it came to going bell to bell if they had to and bust their ass, Hamrick and Tracy would do it all the time. And when I would do more prominent podcasts, I would always make sure to reference Tracy and Hamrick, because I never thought that they got the due that they deserved. And we've been talking about doing the show together for a while, and felt like now was the time to pull the trigger. And it was funny when we were talking about doing this show together, he told me, well, how long do you usually go? And I said, I don't know, maybe 45, an hour. And he goes, that's it? I said, hey man, however long you want to go, we will go. So I wanted to keep the intro short today. Yeah, because I don't know if this is going to end up being a 2-part episode. I mean, if you downloaded this, you probably said it in the title, but I don't know yet because I haven't recorded this. I'm going to record it after this. So we'll see how long me and Chris talk and what sort of insane stuff we end up talking about, because he's had quite the journey as a professional wrestler, and he's just one of my all-time favorite people, and I'm super excited about this.
Man, I'm rip-roaring and ready to go for this one.
All right, very excited about this guest. This week on the show, he is a ECW original, and he is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers, and he should be one of yours too. High-flying Chris Hamrick. Chris, thanks for joining me on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
How is wrestling life for you?
I'm done with wrestling right now. When my little girl got old enough to realize that I wasn't home on weekends, I stopped so I could be with her.
That's awesome, man. Has it been hard for you, like that transition?
Not really. Because you think about it, I mean, had I rather get in a car, drive fucking 200 miles, go sit in a hot, sweaty-ass locker room, go wrestle, sweat, blow up, or stay on the couch at home and play video games with my daughter. So that's a no contest.
Are you a big video game guy?
No, but I'll watch her and I'll play with her some.
Okay, that's awesome.
Loves Grand Theft Auto, man.
Hey, that's a classic game. Okay, I can't keep up with these modern games, but Grand Theft Auto is always fun because you don't even have to do the missions. You can just go around and kill people and assault people. It's amazing.
Well, she'd rather just drive over everybody than do missions.
Yeah, that's what I'm all about too. Do you think there was a time in your life when the idea of leaving wrestling was something that maybe you couldn't deal with?
Maybe something what? I'm sorry?
Do you think there was a time in your life when the idea of leaving wrestling is something that you probably felt would be hard to cope with?
No, because when it was either wrestling or my daughter, that was the easiest choice I ever made in my life.
Yeah, it really changes things, right?
Oh my God, you don't realize it, man. You just don't realize how much that you can love somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. How old's your daughter now?
She's 15.
Wow, getting old.
Yeah. That seemed like yesterday I cut the umbilical cord.
Yeah, that's nuts,
And
man.
like I said, I just didn't want to be that dad that was gone all the time and missed birthday parties. And I wasn't going to be that dad. I mean, I'd been called a wrestler for fucking 20, 30 years. It was time to be called dad,
Yeah, I really respect that, you make family a priority over wrestling. But man, you wrestled for so long and you had such a great career. And like I said at the start of the show, I've always been a big fan of yours. And, we've had a friendship over Facebook for the past few years. And it's something that's been very near and dear to my heart, because when I started going to independent shows, obviously I already knew who you were from ECW and IWA Mid-South, but to see you live in person perform, it was something special. And I would see those events at Cleveland All Pro Wrestling. First time I ever saw you was you and Buff Bagwell. I want to say it was July of 2005. We got a picture together. Do you have any memories of your time in Cleveland All Pro or with JT Lightning?
Because I love Cleveland All Pro. I'll tell you the truth, Greg. I've told people that, you win championships and belts and all that bullshit. But the only two that I've ever really won that really meant something to me was JT Lightning for Cleveland All Pro, because he told me, he said, Chris, I don't care who I bring in, I know you can get a match out of them. And that meant a lot to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then Steve Corino had a group in Pennsylvania, PWF. And the only reason that it meant so much to me there is because he had so much talent, man. He had Samoa Joe, he had Daniels, he had Low-Key, he had the SATs, he had Red. I mean, he had a who's who, and he chose me to be champion. And, that meant a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're incredibly talented. I feel like when it comes to work rate, you never gave less than 110%. And that, I think that's just a testament of the type of performer you were, whether you're doing comedy, whether you're doing just straight up wrestling, high flying stuff, like you always brought it to professional wrestling. Was there some sort of, like, who was your biggest influence when it came to busting your ass that hard each and every time you went to the ring?
I'll be honest with you. Now we're going back. Okay.
Okay.
Back in the day, it used to be everything led up to the main event. You didn't do anything outrageous or, anything that would outshine the main event. And those days, I remember me and Kash wrestled each other on the Indies show. And we wrestled the first match because we had another match, there's another show to go to. And we did a table spot. And I remember New Jack telling me, like, man, every one of those bitches had to do a table spot or something, blah, blah, blah. He said, here's the way it is. He said, I don't care if you first match or last match. He said, you go out there and bust your ass and make the motherfucker work behind you, and if he's not good enough to be in, to follow you in the main event, maybe he shouldn't be in the main event.
Yeah.
And that all with me, I was like, wow, that's true what wrestling is now. Because if I go out and I'm only doing 40% of what I can do because the main event is Brutus Beefcake versus Greg Valentine, no matter what they do, they're not going to set the place on fire. So why should I go out and do 30% of what I can do? Because first of all, I'm fucking the fans. Second of all, I'm fucking the promoter. And third of all, I'm fucking myself.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's a selfish business now, but if you put on your shit and you don't want to go out and be the one that people leave talking about, then you're wasting everybody's time.
I agree with that, and I feel like you're a well-traveled wrestler, and I'm sure you've had this experience with guys that it's usually the guys that don't want to leave the city or the state. It is so frustrating when you show up to an event and you're working with a guy who says, brother, I'm easy and I don't do a lot. And then you try to pull some moves out of them, like just to get an idea of what they want to do. And they go, I do a body slam. I do suplex. I'm simple, brother. We'll take it easy out there tonight, because it's like, in my mind, especially when I'm coming into a new place, I want to make sure that this promoter gets their money's worth and I want to be brought back,
Also, you want the people leaving talking about you, and they can't do that if you're having a lazy ass match.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, like how could you, if it's not for the fans, we don't have work, right? So you have to give them what they want.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just like there's a lot of guys out here that want to listen to the vets, and the vets just fucking eat them up. And I'm like, you just say, hey, I'm in this match too. And what about if we do? Don't be scared to speak your fucking mind, man. I mean, if a vet's a good vet, then anything you can do to add to the match to make it better, they should go for, whether they're taking or receiving it.
Sure. Like, especially, I've learned in my time as I've grown as a performer that I don't know. I guess this applies to life too. Like in the ring, I think it's better to be more giving than to receive. Like just the fact that like if I'm not going out of my way to, especially when I'm a heel, and you spent a lot of time as a bad guy, like if I'm not going out of my way to look like a jackass, like how am I going to get this baby face over, right?
Yeah, and so many guys are scared to do that now because it's so stupid. Because I'll do seminars and I'll be like, okay, who's heel? And someone will raise their hand. I go, okay, so what makes you heel? And they can't fucking tell me. I'm like, well, do you cheat? Well, no, not really. So everybody wants to be equal to the guy that they're wrestling, and that's not what wrestling is. Wrestling is good guy versus bad guy. And the good guy embarrasses the bad guy at the beginning, so the bad guy starts cheating to get the advantage. It's always been that way, and I think it still should be that way. Don't think that I'm fucking, getting down on modern wrestling, whatever. I love it. I think it's the best it's ever been. I just wish they were heels. I wish they were babies, and I wish there's a little more selling. I mean, if I give you a suplex and you're fucking standing up before I stand up, and I'm the one that gave it to you, why'd I give you a suplex? It meant absolutely nothing.
Right. Yeah, I would have to agree with that 100%. I always, especially in the car rides with the boys, it's always a topic of conversation, particularly with the storytelling and the selling. I mean, too many guys and again, obviously I'm still out there. I can appreciate the modern style of wrestling. I enjoy the modern style of wrestling, but there are just things that, when it comes down to the basics, as much as wrestling might change as far as the athleticism goes, at the end of the day, at its core, wrestling is based on storytelling and good guys and bad guys. And I think far too often, and I don't know if you agree with this, I feel like people lean on that statement of, well, it's shades of gray now, right? Like, I don't know if I can get behind that.
Yeah, it's just a heel. Okay, I'm going to ask you something. I'll ask you something straight up. What do you think of MJF? Good heel, bad heel?
Promos, I think, are really good, like bar none. I do enjoy Max's wrestling, but I think sometimes, and he, as good as he is, he's only been doing it for a few years. I feel like, especially now that he's in AEW, I feel like there's a little less cheating than I would like. But
I wonder if they told him to not do that.
I don't know.
Because he was so good at it just to fucking stop it. And what you said exactly, heel promo, he's great. When he gets in the ring, he's babyface, because when's the last time he did something behind the referee's back? When's the last time he cheated to win a match? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the problem with guys now. They think that they're a great heel because they tell somebody to shut up, but then they go in the ring and they do absolutely no cheating, no backstabbing, nothing behind the referee's back. What makes them a heel? Because they came out the heel locker room? That don't make you a heel.
Right. You have to do something for people to get behind and boo. And sometimes I think, especially with smart fans, I think they want to boo because that's what they're supposed to do. But it's very rare in this day and age that a wrestler goes out of their way to actually try to genuinely be hated, or at least have the fans question when they leave that building, that was fake. That was fake. But that guy during the show, I think I actually hate that guy. I think he's a piece of shit, right? I feel like there could be more guys that really create that illusion. I think that's the magic of pro wrestling, right?
It's almost like nobody wants to be booed anymore, and that's stupid.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be. It wants to be an athletic contest, and I'm sorry, but if I go in and we're wrestling each other and you kick me in the nuts, I don't give a how great fucking match we had at the end of the thing. Why the fuck am I going to shake your hand when you kick me in the nuts and trying to cheat to win?
Yeah.
I hate that fucking shit, man.
Let me ask your opinion on something. because again, this is something that we talk about often in car rides. I feel like in wrestling today, there is a overwhelming fear of not being over when the match is all said and done. And I think, in my opinion, a lot of indie matches post-match, again, like you said, like there might be some cheating and whatnot and some bullshit. And then it gets hardcore and bloody. And it seems like at the end of every match, no matter what happens, whoever's playing the good guy or the bad guy, there's either a handshake and or a post-match promo, and then they have their arms in the air and they both leave. And there's like, for me, I think to myself, why do I even care? Like, I just watch these guys go through all of this. Like now I just feel like I'm a dumbass for maybe even caring for a brief second. Do you think there's too much of this handshakes and post-match promo and fear being over?
Way too fucking much. Way too. About your boy Atticus, right?
Yeah.
He did the thing with Jordan Oliver before they did the barbed wire match, and he shook his hand. And when he shook his hand, I raised hell. But then he turned around and blasted him. I sent him a message and went, dude, if you had not blasted Jordan, I would have hunted you down and whooped your ass myself. You are too good a fucking heel to be doing that.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, like, you know, us 440 guys, we sort of had
I love the 440 guys, man. Y'all the true heels.
Thank you very much. I mean, we work hard at it, but I think that one of the things that comes down to being actual heels and being as over as we've been, you know, during the last year and a half, 2 years, is we've all had this unwritten agreement that we're not going to shake hands after the match. We're not going to put anyone over on the mic because like everyone else does that shit. We want to leave the building and we want to be genuinely disliked, and we want people to question whether or not we're actually scum. And I feel like that helped to get us over. And I think some people too have this fear in this day and age where, you know, the merch game is more prevalent, right? They feel like if they're a dickhead,
yeah,
they're not going to sell their t-shirts or their 8x10s after the show. But I feel like the fans sort of want to be in on the, I don't want to say joke, but they want to be in on what we're doing, right? And if they actually dislike us and they don't want to buy my shit, okay, then I'm doing my job. But there's other guys that understand, like, you know what, he's being an actually really bad guy, and I enjoy that. I'll still buy his t-shirt. What do you think of like that mindset?
Yeah, I mean, like, and there's going to be the smart ass fans that's going to cheer the boos just to be fucking try to get over because they're chicken shit to get in the business, but they want to be noticed by the crowd. So they're going to cheer the boo guys regardless. So then that's what they go for. They go for that fucking attention. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they're still going to buy the shirts. And then there's guys that, you know, that generally hate you. They'll buy the shirts just to piss you off and wear them at the show, you know?
Right. Absolutely. Now, your psychology, I know you weren't formally trained. You got a ring around, 8 years old from your dad. Is that correct, for your birthday?
For my 9th birthday, yeah.
Yeah, which is an amazing birthday present. But you actually eventually started to learn psychology for the first time from Ricky Morton. What was it about Ricky that I guess he was drawn to you? Did he just see you fucking up as a young kid and wanted to pull you aside? Did you work with Ricky for this to happen? Like, what spawned that relationship between the two of you?
Well, let me tell you, first time I wrestled Ricky Morton.
Okay.
Is I get to the show, he's already dressed and got gimmicks on, right? You there?
Yep.
Okay. So I walked by his bag and there's a pair of red tights sitting on his top of his bag. I went, oh, this should be fun. So I put them on and I've got sweatpants on over them. And so we get in the ring to go lock up. And Ricky's like, I got a pair of tights like this. You son of a bitch, you're more my tights. I'm like, yep. And we got an instant friendship from that. The thing that made me respect Ricky Morton, same thing about Marty Jannetty, is these guys have been everywhere and sold out every fucking major arena there is and will treat you like you're your best friend as long as you treat them with respect.
Yeah.
And I love that about them guys.
Yeah.
And Robert's the same way.
When was the first time you worked with Marty?
With who?
Marty.
For NEPW.
Oh, okay. Yes. Ohio.
It was funny because like me and Tracy worked Marty and EC3 now. He was something else back then. But and then he kept bringing Marty in. And I told Marty one time, I'm like, hey man, I said, He's sitting at home one time, alone doing nothing. I've got a DVD. I'd like for you to check out. And he kept it. And I'd ask him each week, hey, man, did you watch it? Not yet, but I'm going to watch it. I swear I'm going to watch it. And then one day I get like this long ass email, and he's like, man, I knew you was good, but I never knew you was this good. He goes, you are amazing. Just put me over like $1 million. I went, all right, cool. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Marty, obviously, he always gets this rep as being like the other guy in the tag teams. When tag team gets broken up,
and I hate that. I fucking hate that.
That's what I was gonna say, because like Marty was an incredible worker, right? And the Rockers was an incredible tag team. We all know how great Shawn Michaels is, and I know you've referenced Shawn Michaels as one of your all-time favorites. I say that to say, when those two broke up, or even before they broke up, there was a period of time, especially when you started doing work for the WWF in the mid 90s, that Shawn was considered at that point one of the best in the world. Did you know that Shawn was that good at that time? And did you feel sort of bad for Marty at the same time, not getting as much of the, I guess, the attention that Shawn was getting around that time period? Did you think Marty could have been on the same level?
I don't think that I really paid attention to Shawn Michaels until the WrestleMania 10 ladder match.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Because like when I first heard ladder match, I went, how fucking stupid is that? This is going to be such a dumbass match. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Shawn was fucking incredible in that match.
Yeah, it's obviously a legendary match, and then sort of the stakes get raised a little bit more in 1999 with the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. They took it to a new level, but without that ladder match with Shawn and Razor, I don't know if we get those ladder matches in the future. And I think Shawn really established himself. But it's funny that you mentioned WrestleMania 10. Didn't you actually start your work for the WWF right after WrestleMania 10?
Right after, sure did.
And it was with Tatanka, right?
Tatanka. Yep, that's where I first did the Hamrick Bump.
So talk to me how those first opportunities with the WWF came along, and then I guess also talk to me about the Hamrick Bump and the fame that it's grown over the years.
Okay, so I was wrestling for Italian Stallion, George South. They had a little promotion down here, and they asked me, did I want to go to WWF TV? And I went, of course, who wouldn't, And so we get up there. Matter of fact, Matt and Jeff Hardy went with us the very first time they went.
Oh, wow.
We went from North Carolina to New York. Now, I didn't know Matt Hardy from nobody, you know what I'm saying? But he sat in front of me, and I poked him the whole way up there. I'm like, hey, man, you sleep. I fuck with people. That's what I do. I'm known for that. But I only fuck with people I like. If I don't like you, I want to acknowledge you that you're in the building. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And as far as shaking hands and all, fuck that. If I don't like you, if I wouldn't shake your hand out in the street, why the fuck am I gonna shake your hand in the locker room? If I don't like you, I want to acknowledge that you're even in there. I'll shake everybody else's hand, but you can go fuck yourself.
I've
always been that way.
Yeah.
And then if I sit down and you come in, if you want to come shake my hand, fine. If you don't, life goes on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know it's a tradition and it's a respect thing, but it's not respect. If I don't like somebody, I'm not going to go shake their fucking hand.
Exactly. Real dumb.
Smack the fuck out of them, but I won't shake their hand. But anyway, so we went to WWF TV, and back then it was 1 hour was live and 1 hour was taped. And when I got there, they said, well, you're working the live hour, and you're working Chavis, well, Tatanka. And I had met Tatanka a couple of times on the Indies before he went up to WWF. And so I come in, I went, okay, what do you want to do? He goes, I don't know. He goes, I got a 8-man or 10-man or something that didn't happen at WrestleMania that they did. He said, just put a match together and let me know what we're doing, and I'll get back with you. And I went, okay. So if you watch the very first match, the first of me and Tatanka, that whole first start was me calling it and him going with it.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Then I told him about the bump. He's like, sure. I said, all right, we'll do it. And then the very first thing is when we did it, Vincent McMahon come back there and he said, we showed it again in slow motion. We have never done that. 2 months later, they got double feature.
That's awesome, man.
But what was funny about the bump was Italian Stallion then was in the back, and you know, all the boys are around watching the monitor and all. And when I did the bump, they all just like, "Fuck, he's dead." Instead of like, "No, he meant to do that." And they're like, "What?" So like, I'm walking back and I'm limping a little bit, just selling a little bit, right? Owen Hart called me over and he goes, "You meant to do that?" And I went, "Yeah." He goes, "Unfucking believable." He said, "That's the most awesome bump I've ever seen." He goes, "Man, I would love to work you." He said, "Yeah, always got me working fat guys that won't even jump for suplex." So I went, "Well, keep dreaming, Owen. Maybe it'll happen." And you know, so when the next night I worked a kid, and we did that, you know, where he keep me through the ropes, the most overused gift in the history of gifts. And so the third night we got there, and they didn't have the names up on the board yet. And somebody come up and said, "Who you working on?" I don't know. I said, "I don't care if I don't work," because back then they had the hard rings. And Stallion said, "Well, I'm going to go find out." He come back and he said, "Well, you can give that up." He goes, "Everybody in this building's wanting to work you." And I went, "Great." And I ended up with Sparky Plug.
How'd that go?
It was the shit. He's the fucking shit.
What was so bad about it?
He didn't want them to do nothing. Everybody, like, when they found out that he was working me, they're gonna like, "Oh man, you're gonna love working this kid. This motherfucker, da 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 da." You know, it's just a little smirk, and it was all him, and you know, fuck him.
No, that's unfortunate, man. But I mean, you had a great match with Owen. You had a great match with the kid. I mean,
Owen requested me when I got there. I hadn't even got in the building yet, and Owen come up and he goes, "Hey, I'm working you night, right?" And I went, "I don't know. I ain't even been in the building yet." And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "When I got here, he said, you're working that kid that does that bump through the ropes." He said, "You're famous for that up here." And I went, "Okay." And the funny part about it is, after I did the bump with 123 Kid, George Steele was an agent, right? So he comes up to me, he goes, "I've got heat with you, kid." And I went, "What me?" It's Ricky Morton. He goes, "No." He goes, "I've been coming to these shows for 50 years. I try not to sell." He said, "You done brought me out of my seat twice on that bump." He said, "Don't do that fucking bump anymore." And I went, "I'll never do it again, sir." So then when Owen, when I was wrestling Owen, he said, "You gonna do the bump?" I went, "I don't know. You think I should?" He goes, "Fuck yeah." And I went, "Okay, we'll do it."
That's awesome, man. Now, when it comes to creating the Hamrick Bump, I can't imagine that's something that you thought was something that you should do on purpose, right? Like, I mean, what's the origin behind this?
Okay, I used to lay a guy on his neck on the second rope, and I would run, and he would move, and I would do the ass bump, you know, off the second rope.
Yep.
Well, one day I overshot it, and I mean, like, when I landed, the building went completely silent, and I'm laying there, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I might be onto something here," because they thought I was legit hurt. And so I was like, the hardest part of it was doing it the second time, but I've never been hurt doing that bump.
That's wild, because like I remember seeing you do it, you know, at CAPW, where it's just, you know, the concrete ground. And every time, I mean, I knew that was a thing you did, but every time I thought like, oh, this had to be the one, right? And every single time you turned out okay, man. It's the craziest bump.
Well, the cool thing about it is for so many years, everybody said, "Oh, it was a botch. It was a botch." How many fucking times can you botch something?
Right. Well, you know what? Alberto Del Rio years later starts doing that same bump, but I never thought, and you know, I might have a little bit of a bias towards you, but I never thought it was as good as your bump.
Oh no, he didn't, because I let go. He didn't.
Yeah, I felt like he would hold on for a little bit too long.
Yeah, and then somebody's like, "Well, why would you do something like that?" I went, "Well, why would people still be talking about it 20 fucking years after I did it? What have you ever done people talked about? Shut up."
That's very true. That's very, very true. Now, you work with Kid, you work with Owen, Bob Holly. Bob Holly, you said, was kind of a dick. Was there anybody else during that first run with the WWF that was kind of a dickhead?
Yep. Bret Hart. Fuck Bret Hart.
Wow, what did Bret do?
He was such a fucking douchebag, man, because he was champion at the time, and he would sit over there with his belt on his shoulder like he really fucking won it. And somebody asked him, said, "Bret, why don't you work in, jobbers?" He's like, "Oh, well, I ain't ending my career like that." And I went, "Okay, motherfucker, I can make you look like $1 million, but you go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
And, the thing that really turned me against him was, it was at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. So you got the arena there, you've got the bar there, and you've got the hotel there all in one place, right? So after the matches, everybody went to the bar. Well, the kids couldn't get in the bar, but they were lined up, right before the bar getting autographs and shit, right? So everybody's walking in, signing autographs. And this little girl asked Brett, she goes, Mr. Hart, can I have your autograph? He looked at her and walked right in. I went, fuck him. Fuck him.
Oh, God. You hate to hear that. That's terrible.
And then he always put Flair down. I mean, he was doing the same match. What the fuck did he do, man?
5 Moves of Doom.
His fucking matches?
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny you bring up Flair. I know he was one of your all-time favorites. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I swear that I saw an interview years ago where you said that when you were a kid, you would often help Flair carry his bags into the arena. Was that a thing? Am I making that up?
Wrestling came around to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and Greenville, South Carolina. They came to Spartanburg every Saturday night, and they went to Greenville every Monday night. And that was our family time. We jumped in the cars and we went to wrestling as a family. And we went to Spartanburg so much that I can meet Rick at the back of the building and carry his bag to the building and then carry it back to his car after the show.
Wow. That had to be surreal for you.
I was Ric Flair. You couldn't talk to me. And what was funny is I went up under the rope one time, and a policeman goes, hey, and Rick goes, yo, he's with me. I went, yeah, I guess you got that.
In later years, did you ever have any other interactions with Ric Flair, and were you able to share that story with him?
I don't think I have. The thing that when Rick started doing the indie shows, I have a VCR tape of, I want to say 76 maybe. Flair and Mulligan got into an argument, and they were tag team partners. And Blackjack come out wrestling, and Flair tore up Blackjack's hat. And then Flair was wrestling, and Blackjack come out wearing Flair's robe and ripped it all to pieces. And I made a DVD of it, and I gave it to Rick. And he said, man, I ain't seen this in so long. I don't think there's copies of it. I had actually copied it off TV the week before. And I think what they did is when they got old copies, they recorded over the other ones so they wouldn't have to keep buying tapes and all.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if that's in existence anywhere.
Wow, that's nuts, man. Just the fact that you got to do that for someone that you idolized so much as a kid, carry his bags, and then years later you get to give him that DVD. That's pretty cool. But what I also find
the reason I wanted to become a wrestler.
He was your biggest influence.
Yeah, that without a doubt. I'm gonna tell you what. This is how bad I had it, Greg. Back when wrestling magazines were cool, I would buy the magazines, cut the picture of Flair out, throw the magazine away.
You know what?
I had a scrapbook every bit of this big of nothing but Flair, and then it got destroyed somewhere. And I did the same thing with Buddy Landell. It wasn't his biggest Flairs, but I did the same thing with Landell. And when I met Landell, I showed him, and he goes, this would really help me out, because it had him versus Flair at Greenville Memorial Auditorium, the main event for the world title. And so he's like, man, this would really help me out in court, because at the time he was going to court about a back issue or something. And I was like, well, take it. He goes, are you serious? I went, yeah, because if it'll help you out, you're more than welcome to it. And me and Buddy became real good friends because of that.
Did you work Buddy Landell often?
I never got to work Buddy.
Really? That's unfortunate.
I wanted to so bad.
Man, that sucks, man, because I really feel like because people like the younger generation that know of Ric Flair, I feel like sometimes Buddy Landell sort of gets looked at as, a Nature Boy ripoff. But I mean, I feel like he was one of those underrated workers.
If Buddy was his own worst demon, if Buddy could got rid of his demons, he could have been on top of the world.
Yeah, that's what you always hear in interviews, is that he had a lot of personal demons that just, screwed up a lot of situations for him.
He did. Bless his heart.
Have you ever heard the story about his opportunity in WWF in '95, where apparently he was getting that run of shows? I want to say it's right at the end of '95, and then something happens when he's leaving the arena, and he ends up slipping and hurting his back real bad. You know that story?
Is that the at WWE, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was supposed to. He had just put over. Was it Matt Hardy?
Yes.
Or Bob Holly? Or
Matt
one
Hardy.
of them. Somebody was going to work somebody, and Buddy said, "Hey, man, I'll do it."
Yep.
And then he was supposed to work somebody else the next night, and then that's when he got hurt.
Yeah, just
Buddy showed me a picture of him. Motherfucker was jacked up bigger than Lex Luger. Have you ever seen it?
no.
God, I wish I still had it because, like, he would bring it in the locker room. He'd be like, he'd hold the, his thumb over the head, but just see the body. He goes, "Hey, guess who this is?" I went, "Lex Luger." He showed me. I went, "Holy fuck, man! He used to be jacked."
That's wild, man. I never
He
knew.
was in a car wreck and he couldn't work out anymore, so
Oh,
that's
God.
what happened.
If it wasn't
was-
for bad luck, he'd have no
Yeah.
luck at all. That's crazy. Going back to the Ric Flair thing, though, years down the line, you never get to work with Rick, but I think it's probably a pretty big honor that you ended up getting to wrestle Reed. Do you have any memories of working with Reed?
I loved Reed Flair. And I told Reed so many times, I'm like, "Reed, why don't you wait to become a superstar before you do all this fucking shit here? If you have to do it, become rich and famous first. You're doing backwards, man." I said, "Everybody's scared to use you." And he was good. Reed was very good, but he couldn't let go. He just couldn't let go of his demons.
Yeah. Why was he doing indies? Like, could he have had a shot at the WWE, or was he just trying to work his way to that?
I think Vince was scared of him because he got busted for heroin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then the sad story is Flair got him booked in Japan, and he did real good over there. And this is what I've heard. I can't swear, but I heard they offered Reed a spot in the dojo, and he could come back. And then Reed made a little money while he was over there. Then he came back, and Rick dropped him off at a hotel, and he fucking OD'd.
And he was so young too. That's what's even more unfortunate about it.
Maybe 23.
Yeah, just a kid, man. That's sucks real bad.
And the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life was on the 60-60 thing. Rick said, "Man, I wish I'd been his friend. I've been his dad instead of his friend."
Yeah, I remember that. That's it jerks at the heartstrings, man. You never like to hear stuff like that. That sucks.
The cool thing is, I heard Rick buried him with his Hall of Fame ring. That's cool shit if he did that.
Oh wow, yeah, that is cool.
And then I heard WWE bought him another Hall of Fame ring because he did that.
Wow, that's awesome. It's just wish we could add Reed for a little bit longer, but it's really cool that you got to work with him. And I'm sure if Rick knew that, I'm sure he would really appreciate how you helped out his boy. Chris, are you frozen? Oh, you were frozen there. We're good.
Okay, you sound like you're underwater.
Am I underwater? Am I still underwater?
Can you hear me good?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, okay.
Cool. Smoky Mountain Wrestling. You worked there for a period of time, and years later in ECW, New Jack was one of the guys who got in the ring with you during your tryout and really helped get you your job because everyone was terrified of New Jack, right? But this goes back to Smoky Mountain when you put him over in a match and he took a liking to you. And obviously it's unfortunate that we lost Jack back in May of last year. Talk to me about New Jack and the guy that you knew, not the one that wrestling fans know and that are terrified of.
I always heard that, well, New Jack don't respect the business. New Jack, if he liked you, when they brought him into Smoky Mountain, me and Anthony Michaels was first one that ever worked on, brought first matches to Gangsters. And I did my job. I put over New Jack like $1 million, and he never forgot it. So like when I tried out ECW, I walked up to New Jack and I went, "Hey man," he goes, "Hey," and he didn't remember me. And I went, "You don't remember me?" He goes, give me a hint. I've a lot of chair shots, blah, blah, blah. I said, "All right, first Smoky Mountain match." He goes, "Chris fucking Hamrick." I went, "Yes." And he took me right to Paul and he goes, "This motherfucker can work." He said, "You need to give him a job now." And I went, "Wow." And he helped me get my job in SPW. I remember they brought him in to my hometown and I was working him, right? And he goes, "Chris, what you want to do?" And I went, "I don't know. What do you want to do?" He goes, "Oh, I'm going to put you over because this is your hometown." He said, I'm gonna beat your ass afterwards. I'm like, yep, sounds about right. You go with that.
It's just I know I always did shows with Jack, and I was terrified of him. I would always say hi to him, and he was cool. What's up, kid? But like he was on my list of like guys I don't want to fuck with. You know what I mean? Because he just like even if it was a gimmick, like I still feel he would have beat the shit out of anybody that would have crossed past him. I mean, we know the history with guys like Gypsy Joe and stuff, but from what I understand, like Gypsy was stiffing him and stuff. So it's like I feel like as long as you don't give Jack a reason to beat the hell out of you, you'll be okay, right?
So here's the thing: is everyone that knew Jack, like the Gypsy Joe stiffed him and wouldn't sell for him, and Jack tried to work with him. You can watch the match at the beginning. Jack tried to work with him. He didn't want to work because he invented hardcore, and Jack beat the fucking hell out of him. Plain and simple. Okay, so the guy that he stabbed, you got a big guy wrapped his arms around you, won't move. What are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? And Jack had that reputation to where if anybody on the indies would have whooped Jack's ass, they would have became an overnight sensation. Plain and simple. So Jack always had to defend who the fuck he was. So he don't know who's going where and doing what. So, I mean, he stabbed the motherfucker, you know, as a big guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, character like New Jack, you have to maintain that aura. And if someone's not working with you properly, I mean, you know, you ain't got time to
figure out why. You ain't got time to ask questions.
Right. Yeah. You want to maintain that persona that you've taken years and years to build up.
Yeah, because I mean, if anybody would have came in and whooped Jack's ass, overnight sensation.
Yeah, 100%.
And he always had to look out for that.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So you end up meeting Jack in Smoky Mountain. You get your opportunity in Smoky Mountain because of, I believe, an interaction with Jim Cornette after you were doing your shots for the WWF.
Yeah. I did the match with the 1, 2, 3 kid, and Cornette, you know, stopped asking me where I was from and blah blah blah. And he told me, he said, I want you to come do that bump for me on my TV. And I went, well, here's, you know, because back then we didn't have cell phones and all that. And I gave him the business card. I said, well, here, call me. 2 weeks later, he called me. And we talked. And of course, he put me over. You know, he's like, oh, the people in New York saw the bump, but I saw so much more. And then I just went up there and jobbed out. Yeah,
I'm sure you probably imagine he would have given you more of opportunity after putting you over so much, but it's unfortunate he just gave you job opportunities.
I was just happy to be there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, same thing with the ECW, man. And we'll go into that a little bit later. But yeah, I was just happy to be there. I mean, it's funny because like when I was coming up, we didn't have GPS. We didn't have fucking cell phones. You had to call, you talked to the promoter. You had to look at a fucking road atlas, find the best way to get the fucking building. And then you had to find it on your own. But you had the most fun of any road trips of any time. You know what I'm saying? Because you really you didn't give a fuck. You wanted to go out and you wanted to wrestle. You did whatever the fuck you had to do. And, you know, you call it a night. If you didn't make no money, you didn't fucking care because you were a wrestler and you had fun.
Yeah.
You know?
I really feel like too many guys these days bitch about the road trips because most of the time the road trips for me are like the favorite part of the weekend. You know, it's those conversations in the car with your buddies, sharing the love of pro wrestling and booking the territory, as they say. I think that's the best part, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's where you learn the most too.
Yeah. And again, that's another lost art because most guys, you know, they don't want to put in the time and effort to make those drives. And in those early years, most of us lose our ass financially. And I feel like a lot of young kids, they don't want to get in the car and lose money. And they just, they like the idea of getting in the ring and standing on the top rope with a championship belt and coming out to their own entrance music. But the work that needs to be done to be successful as a wrestler, which includes the car rides and maybe occasionally hitting the gym and studying tape and talking with veterans. I just feel like that's sort of a dying art. What do you say?
Because they don't know that. They wasn't trained that way. Because here's the thing that's wrong with wrestling now is you got motherfuckers that training that should be trained. You can't teach what you don't fucking know. Yeah. So if I'm wanting to be a wrestler and I'm looking at Joe Blow and just because he tells me that he's going to train me for nothing, yeah, I'm going to take it because the price is good. But what I'm not figuring is, well, I've never heard of this motherfucker. So how's he going to teach me to get to where I want to go if he never got there?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. There are so many kids locally, and I'm sure every state has their bubble and every city has their bubble. There are guys that train locally that it's just a fucking joke. And I've seen some of these kids in the school once they go elsewhere and figure out the right way to do things. They told me the way they're being trained, like how their trainer couldn't show them how to take a shoulder tackle properly. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. Like, and this is the future.
You don't know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's going to hurt the business more than it helps it. That's for sure.
It really is, because I mean, you've got shit shows and people that go to shit shows thinking they're going to see a good show, and then it ruins them on all shows.
Yep. And they never want to go back to any show again because
the last wrestling show I went to was the shit. So I'm not going to this. What's this GCW bullshit? Never heard of it. I'm not taking a chance.
Right.
And I fucking love GCW. I think GCW is the new ECW.
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that. The locker room is definitely a special one. I mean, I don't know, because I've never been in the ECW locker room, but I mean, like, every guy that's been in ECW that steps foot in the locker room, they say they feel that feeling. Like Jerry Lynn's one of those guys who's been in the locker room and he's like, this is like ECW. And, I'm not going to argue with him. I'm not going to argue with you. It definitely feels legit.
I'm kind of just putting to the way the crowd reacts to the guys and the guys react to the crowd.
Yeah.
That's ECW all over. You got the chants and you got your favorites. The only thing is, and if you think about it, Greg, after, I don't know, 99, maybe even before that, there were no heels and no baby faces in ECW. It was all respect shit. I mean, like, they would boo us when we come out, but as soon as you do something cool, they pop and then they go back to booing again. But you're really not a heel. You know what I'm saying? Sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. When you watch GCW, who are the guys that you lean towards? Who do you like?
GCW?
Yeah.
I love Jordan Oliver. He's like, I've never met him, but he's like one of my boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God, who don't I like? I'll tell you who I don't like. Well, there's two that I don't like. One's going to get me. The other one might, but I don't really know. But the God, what's his name? The flippy dude with the mask.
Ninja Mac.
I've heard bad shit about him. I've heard that he thinks that it's real and that he's all about putting him up. Kind of reminds me of Easy Money. Make the match about me and not the match about the match. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yep.
Let me get my shit in and show people what I can do. Don't really care what you do. And if I think of something that I want to do during the match, I'm just going to call it and do it.
Yeah.
And I could be 100% wrong, but that's what I've heard.
Nope.
He is very, very talented. Do not get me wrong.
Sure.
But having a shitty attitude can hurt you, same as not being able to work.
Yeah, it won't get you very far. That's for sure.
And if it is true what he says about him, then Lauderdale should make him sit back a couple matches and let him, realize what he's doing. Somebody needs to smarten the kid up.
Yeah, if that's the case, yeah, absolutely. Who's the other person you don't like?
Nick Gage.
Oh, that's a controversial take.
Here's the thing. Is Nick could go in and make some of these young kids look like superstars. Because they love him. He's over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he goes in and he chooses just to go in and job them out. Who the fuck did he beat if he jobbed somebody out?
Sure, I agree.
And I don't think that he thinks that. He's all about getting his shit over, making him look good. Guys, what he don't realize, say that he had a strong heel, say that he wrestled Ricky Shane Page, okay? And he could go out there and let Ricky fuck him over 90% of the match. And as long as he still won, he's over. Who fucking cares? What they remember, what's the thing they remember in the match? The fucking finish.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, I mean, that's what guys don't get, man. Nick could go out there I seen him wrestle Jordan Oliver, and he gave him maybe, I don't know, 30% of the match. He could have went out there and gave him 90% of that match, still went over in the end, and still been over as much as he would have if he done what he did.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I don't like about that is he's not either he don't understand about putting somebody over or he don't know how to put somebody over.
Yeah. You brought up Easy Money. I actually wanted to talk to him a little bit about because obviously, you know, he had a little bit of notoriety. He's the guy you did your tryout with in ECW, correct?
Yes. Me and him tried out. Let me tell you the funny part about this. Okay, so Cash has been my boy forever. And he kept telling me, he's like, man, I'm going to get you a shot at ECW. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, because I didn't believe him. And then he told me, he said, they're coming to Columbia. He said, I got you and Jason a shot. And we're like, all right. So we knew where a ring was. So Cash is like, let's meet up, you know, and I'll show you what to do, what not to do, what they're looking for, what they're not looking for, blah, blah. And we're like, all right. So, and Jason didn't even fucking show up. So me and Cash worked out, you know, he talked to me, blah, blah. Well, me and Jason rode down together and we stopped at an empty mall parking lot and went through our match. And so we get there and they've got like 10 guys trying out, man. And the first two was god awful. And you've got all the ECW guys sitting around ringside. You've got Fonzie refereeing. You've got Sandman ringside. You've got I mean, all the boys are there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the first two are awful, and you know, Hack jumps up on the ring. He's like, God, what the fuck was that? Get the fuck out of here. Matter of fact, get out of the building. Was like, wow, no pressure there. Oh, so, anyway, me and Easy were the last two to try out. And when we tried out, we did a long opening spot. We ended up squaring off. And when we squared off, the boys popped. I went, oh, fuck, we got them now. So, we did our match, blah, blah. Well, Cash comes up and he goes, hey, guys, he goes, you're going to have to do your match again. We was like, all right, but why? He said, well, Tommy Dreamer just got here and he's agreed to watch only you two guys. So we did the match again, blah, blah, blah. Well, like I said, I was waiting, you know, we waiting on the stage and Tommy Dreamer comes out and he goes, okay, first match, Kid Cash and Chili Willie against Cash's two guys. Well, it went right over my head. And then I happened to think, I went, wait, Cash, we're your two guys, right? And he goes, yeah. And I went, we're fucking working tonight? And he goes, yeah. And I went, oh my God, you know, so that's how it all started. And then like the thing that made Cash so cool to me was, I mean, we were best friends anyway, but I was like, okay, Cash, you know, Dreamer comes out and he goes, okay, you got 6 minutes, Cash and Chili over, which, you know, they could have went out and jobbed us out, Greg, and nobody would ever fucking cared. You know what I'm saying? Yep. But they didn't. And Cash, I said, hey, when we start the heat, do you care if I stand on Easy's shoulders when he sits on top turnbuckle and do a leg drop to start the heat? And Cash pulled me to the side and he said, look, he said, me and Chili already have contracts here. He said, you and Jason go out and get your fucking shit over and get you a contract. I went, holy shit, that's cool as fuck, you know?
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, he had the opportunity to just do whatever he wanted with you. He couldn't have given you anything, but if it wasn't for him giving you that shot.
They could have went out and jobbed us the fuck out. Nobody would have said nothing or cared.
Yeah, right. And I would imagine that's what led to you guys getting really noticed, and that led to the contract, right?
We never got a contract. Here's the way things worked in ECW. Is if you wasn't one of the boys, you showed up for practice, you worked out, you stayed dressed in your gear, and if somebody picked to work you got to work. If not, then you don't get a payday, you don't get to work, you just did nothing. I mean, you just showed up to the show. Luckily for us, Dreamer come out and talked to us after the show. He's like, you know, I have to use my guys, but if it's profitable for you, welcome to come to the show. You know, if we can use you, we will. All right. So, like, I think the next show was Cleveland, Ohio, and we rented a car and went up there, and we're working out, blah, 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 and we're dressed. And Dreamer comes back and I said, okay, Chili, he said, look around the locker room. Who do you want to work tonight? And Chili's like, give me Hamrick. So Easy was my manager just for a couple of times. And then, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks later is when Jack jumped in the ring during the workout, and Dreamer come up to me. I was working Chili, and he said, he asked Jack, he said, since you like this guy so much, do you want to come out and beat his ass after the match and we'll start, there? Jack's like, yeah. So that's what actually started between me and Jack. And what people don't know is that for the California pay-per-view, we were supposed to actually go out. We were going to be there. And Jack told me, he said, I've done talked this over with Paul Wee, and he's cool with it. He said, what's going to happen? He said, either you and Jason are going to wrestle Kash, have your match, da-da-da. After the match, I come in, we beat y'all up for a little bit. Y'all handcuff me to the ropes or handcuff Kash to the ropes and leave me laying in a puddle of my own blood. He said, I done told Paul I'd do it. He said, that's going to take you from here to here. He said, and be ready for it. But what happened was Jack was doing a balcony dive like 2 weeks before the pay-per-view, and some mark pushed him off, and he broke his ankle, so we didn't get to go.
Oh, man, that would have been like a game changer in ECW
Yeah,
for you.
absolutely.
I mean, no one ever left Jack in a pool of his own blood. So
That's what he said.
Oh, man.
When he did the workout, he said, you know why I did that? And I went, show off? And the thing about it, Greg, is I wish it could have been filmed. We're sitting there, and like they didn't really stretch you, but they started shooting on you a little bit to make sure that you wanted it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like you have to kick out of everything, blah, blah, blah. Well, all of a sudden I hear, uh-oh. And I went, uh-oh, what? And I look, New Jack's taking his earrings out. And he gets in the ring and he shoots me off in the ropes. He's like, my dick gets hard working this motherfucker. He gives me a backdrop, a clothesline, arm drag, and you could just hear jaws hit the floor because he was wrestling, first of all. Second of all, he said, I've never been in the ring during the workout. He said, so that's going to open eyes. And sure enough, it did. That's when Dreamer come up and said, hey, do you want to work this guy? And, it started a feud between us.
That's really cool, man. I'm really glad you got that opportunity at ECW, especially since you're right at the tail end of that thing ending, right? I mean, as we do this interview, it's like the 20th anniversary, basically, since the last event. As ECW was winding down, did the boys in the back know that something was up and that the company might be closing, or did it just sort of get sprung on everybody?
So here's the cool thing about ECW, okay? A lot of guys wasn't getting paid. They still showed up every week, and they busted their ass, and they went out and gave 110% for them fans that did pay. And you got guys on TV making $1 million that didn't give a fuck what the fans thought and went out and half-assed it if they even went out at all. That's the difference between doing it for love and doing it for money. ECW is about doing it for love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the heart and soul, man. You got to love wrestling, and ECW was all about that. After ECW,
I was glad to be able to say that I was a part of it. I mean, I wasn't no big part of it, and I'm not going to be, in the best top 10 ECW moments or whatever the fuck. But I can always say that I was an ECW original.
You were, absolutely. And that helped you springboard towards other things. Now, after ECW, not too long after that, you start doing XPW. As we know, when ECW was in business, there was a little bit of heat between the two companies. Did people get the impression that XPW was just sort of ECW light at the time? Or what was your feelings going into
exactly
ECW?
What they thought. They thought that it was an ECW wannabe. And it wasn't. Rob Black sat there and told me one night, he goes, I just want good old-fashioned wrestling. That's what I'm looking for. And like the very first time that I watched XPW, every match was hardcore. Every match had color. Every match was doing barbed wire. And I was like, this is bullshit. There's nothing that sticks out from anything else. You know what I'm saying? But then once Shane got in there and all that, dude, I mean, like it was basically, we had basically 90% of ECW guys on the show.
Yeah. Plus you had some of the young guys. Like I know you and Tracy worked a lot with M-Dog and Josh Prohibition. What are your memories of working with those guys?
It was funny because Josh and M-Dog had just joined CZW. And so like what really got them to SPW was when I told them that they was going to be working me and Tracy.
Oh, really?
God, yeah, we're there. You know what I'm saying? Because like before SPW made the East Coast debut, I had actually brought up Josh and M-Dog's name. And they was like, yeah, man, we know who they are, but we want to wait till we come to the East Coast to use them. And so that's how that happened. But yeah.
That's awesome, man. Right before XPW ends up shutting down, you guys never got the XPW tag team titles, but I heard a little rumor that you guys were in line to get them.
Let me tell you, SPW is coming to Pittsburgh, and I had canceled because I had a 10-day tour in England. First time I'd ever been to England. And so Kevin Kleinrock called me. I done got my show booked, everything's booked and everything. Kleinrock calls me, goes, hey, man, he goes, I kind of need you to be at SPW. And I went, okay, so you want me to turn down 10 shows for one show? Would you mind telling me why? He goes, well, you and Tracy are going over for the tag team belts. So I went, are you serious? He's like, yeah. And I went, so I really need to be there. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll cancel the fucking tour and I'll be there. And then like a week before the tour, they canceled. They fucking fold.
No.
I called him. What the fuck? And he's like, man, I'll still send you your pay. And I went, what about the other 9 fucking days I'm missing? And luckily I got the tour, so it worked out pretty good. But yeah, we were supposed to win the tag team titles from M-Dog and Josh.
Oh, God.
I'll tell you another one. Check this out. Talk about fucking bad luck. I was on the show with Dreamer one night, and he's talking to me. He goes, you know that if ECW had survived, he said Paul was going to break Easy Money away from you two, and he was going to feud with Rob Van Dam. He said, and you and Julio is going to be the next tag team champions.
What the hell? That would have been awesome.
Yeah, were you just telling me that to make me mad or just piss me off?
Right.
What was in the works? So I went, son of a bitch.
Jesus. I wanted to ask you before I brought up Easy Money. What was your relationship with him like? Because for the guys of my generation, while we appreciate his in-ring work, a lot of us know Easy Money as the guy that makes gear and then never gives it to us and then rips us out of money.
I had heard that too. And like, I didn't really know Jason.
Yeah.
I had met him one time on the Indies, and I don't think he liked me at the beginning because like Kash and somebody was working. I don't know. But anyway, I changed the finish. I was like, well, this is the way it should be. And it ended up Jason going under, and he didn't really like that. And I was like, it's okay. It's not real, And so, but then like we got along in ECW, but then like we had heat again because like he started WCW. Kash had a tryout with WCW. And I mean, Kash was totally 100% responsible for getting us in ECW. No doubt about it. And so Kash was like opening match, and Easy was like way on down the line or whatever. And Kash asked, I mean, it's so small and simple, but it's fucking, the rubber bands that you work out with. Kash asked him, he said, hey man, can I warm up, to go out? And Jason like, well, I don't know. I just bought them and they're new and blah, blah. And Kash got hot at him. He's like, motherfucker, I got you in ECW. Jason's like, yeah, but we're not there anymore. And I was like, fuck him. Fuck him for that.
Jesus, that's horrible. What the hell?
You don't do that.
Oh God, I'm speechless, man. Kash, do you still communicate with him to this day?
I haven't seen him since the last WrestleCade. Kash has always been my boy. I mean, we have a love-hate relationship, but we're tight. You know what I'm saying? We have been since we first met.
Is there anyone that you still communicate with often within the business?
Stupid fucking Jordan Oliver. God, Julio called me fucking 2 months ago, maybe.
Really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, then like every now and then I'll shoot Carino a fucking text being stupid.
Yeah.
Just Incredible fucked me one time, so fuck him.
How so?
A promoter was running the show in my hometown. He wanted to book Justin, and I told him I'm not. Justin's good for it, blah, blah, blah. And Justin calls him with this fucking, I need money for da-da-da. And I told him, I'll send it to him because, I trust him. And then the motherfucker no-showed and quit calling, and fuck him.
That sounds about right. He's notorious for his ups and downs in recent years, and he occasionally reaches out to people, other wrestlers on social media, trying to get a couple bucks and sell stuff. And I just I hope he works his shit out, but I don't know if he's in a good place, man.
Yeah, I just fuck him. Trying to think, man. They really ain't. I mean, wrestling is like you see somebody in the locker room, you're like, man, we gotta stay in touch, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
After, it's fucking right back to where it was.
Yeah.
But then when you see them again, you're like, oh man, we need to start staying in touch and blah, blah, blah. And fuck.
Right. You just pick up like you guys saw each other yesterday, right?
Yeah. It really is. I mean, it's like there was no time missed, but then, you go fucking 2 years without talking to them again.
When is the last time?
The thing about it is, let me tell you a funny story.
Go for it.
It's like Dreamer was fucking talent relations for TNA. And I would send Dreamer a text. I went, hey, man. He wouldn't answer. I went, hey, man. He wouldn't answer. I went, look, motherfucker, I'm not looking for a job. I'm just a friend saying hello, right? And finally he answers like, hey, man. I went, y'all hiring? So let me tell you a funny New Jack story.
Okay.
I said to New Jack one time, I said, Jack, I got an idea that's going to make us money. He goes, what you got? I said, well, you know how you're New Jack, the hardcore gangster? I said, I'll be New Jill, the hardcore transvestite. I said, I'll get a camouflage dress. We'll be New Jack and New Jill. He goes, Chris, if you ever say that to me again, I'll cut your fucking throat. And I went, all right, what do you think about it? Let me know. I'm cool. Good. Let me know.
Hey, listen, I think that could have really been money. And you know what? New Jack, not bad.
I think it could have.
He did some great comedy stuff. Like when he was in TNA with Shark Boy, I love that shit. And, you had to run in TNA under that mask. And, I had no idea it was you when I saw it because you had the mask on and you had an outfit that looked just like the one you would wear. Yeah. You looked just like a Chris Hamrick outfit, but I wasn't sure that it was you at all, especially when I saw what you were doing in the ring. Yeah, I just, I couldn't tell, man. How come nothing ever happened with you in TNA?
Let me tell you what, I walk in, I do the TNA tryout, and they come up to me and they're like, hey, Jarrett's been looking for luchadors. You fit that gimmick perfectly. Would you be offended to wearing a luchador outfit? And I went, am I getting paid? It's like, yep. I went, well, fuck no. I'll valet park if that's what you want me to do. So I went and did it, and they called me and they said, don't worry about the outfit. We've got it. I said, okay. So they show it to me. It's a red pleather outfit without my name and a white mask. I went, fucking Ray Charles could tell this was me. Are you kidding me? So then, I don't know if you ever saw it the second time I went, but I had an outfit made. And they used me one time and then never used me again. I don't know if it's cause I wrestled Sonny Siaki and I put him up. I basically jobbed for him. And I was just trying to make him look good, and I don't know if they wanted a competitive match or what, but yeah, I paid $300 for the outfit, made $350 for TNA, and they never used me again.
Yeah. Well, they really dropped the ball because I feel like you would have fit in perfectly with that sort of style in that time period. Yeah, because
at the time, the X division was strong. It really was.
100%. And you know what? We're going to fast forward a little bit here. I often say, I talk about this all the time, and I might have even brought it up to you in conversations on Facebook. We're in this day and age where young guys need guidance from not only people with that veteran experience from the old days, like 80s, 90s, but also they stay in touch with modern wrestling and they understand that, things change, right? And you got to adapt with the times. And I really feel like a guy like you would be very beneficial in a company like AEW as an agent, someone doing something backstage. Like if that was an opportunity that was presented to you, is that something that you would want to do? Because I feel like you would work perfectly in that role.
I would jump on that before God got to work. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I just don't understand.
Here's the thing too, Greg. Here's the thing too, is if you telling them and them listening, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the part about it, is because they've already programmed in their mind what they've got to do, what they're supposed to do, what they think is right. So you got somebody coming in trying to tell them something different. Well, which one are you gonna go with? You know what I'm saying?
Sure. And I'm not going to name names. Maybe we could talk about it off air, but I know of at least one person that was just sort of disregarding some advice from Jerry Lynn backstage. And Jerry Lynn was just kind of like, okay, man. And I'm just thinking to myself, dude, it's fucking Jerry Lynn. Like, how could you not listen to that guy, man? He's done it all.
So let me tell you what he did. This is a Jerry Lynn CAPW story.
Okay.
Was you there the night that Sonny Landell shit himself?
I sure was. I was a fan in the crowd. Yep.
Okay. You remember I wrestled Jerry Lynn in the main event, right?
Yeah, that was the night after he did Hardcore Homecoming. He had just done the cage with Just Incredible.
Maybe I pile drove him for the finish.
I believe so.
I can't remember, but anyway, so like I go to the back and Jerry's like all hot and shit. And I went, well, what the hell's wrong? I said, you didn't like the match? He said, the match was fine. I went, then why you like you got a period or something? He's like, you pinned me in the fucking shit stain. I went, oh, that's cool. Yeah. I didn't realize that, but yeah, that's cool.
We have oftentimes talked about that story with Sonny shitting himself in the ring, because as a fan in the crowd, I remember it was very confusing because he was working a local guy out of Cincinnati named Big Al. And I'll never forget, Big Al gave him a body slam, boom, pinned him, and the ref counts 1, 2, hesitation, 3. And then I remember asking the ref, Tom Dunn, during intermission outside, because he's smoking, like, hey, what happened? He's like, guy shit himself in the match. And I was like, holy crap. And then I heard years later that you, being the constant ribber, you were giving Sonny a lot of shit in the locker room.
Well, like, it was so funny, dude, because we're sitting there watching Monitor, and I swear to God, JT had just told me, he said, man, I'm glad you bring this guy. He's good. And then he got pinned with a body slam, and I went, he's hurt. My first thing was he's hurt.
Yeah.
We comes back locker room and somebody said, what happened? He goes, you don't even want to know. JT goes, you shit yourself. He goes, I sure did. I went, oh my God. So like on the way home, I talked about what a shit match it was and how he was and
hey man, like listen, if you can't rib your friend, I mean, what's the point of wrestling, right?
Oh my God. Then that's something else that's missing in wrestling is ribs.
Well, I mean, we live in a day and age where, and I talked about it earlier in the podcast, in the intro that recorded for the show, between not being able to rib people in a friendly nature, nothing too malicious. You can't rib anybody anymore. And especially on social media, like Twitter is a fucking cesspool, and you can't say anything without people getting upset about it. And it's just, that might be part of the reason why people don't want to be bad guys anymore, because they're afraid that people on social media are just going to, lose their mind about it. And then they won't have work anymore because they'll get what the kids say as canceled. It's very frustrating.
That is so stupid. That's just like people talking about canceling Eddie Murphy and comedians and shit. If you don't like what they say, stay the fuck at home. Don't go.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. You worked for WWF in 2004. You end up doing some shots for them in 2005. What was the difference between the locker room in the 90s and the 2000s? Was there a big difference, or like what was that scenario like for you?
Dude. Yeah, because like when I went in the 90s, everybody dressed together, everybody got together, everybody had fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, when you go now, the extras or whatever are lucky to have a fucking closet.
Not good. Not good at all.
Ridiculous. It pissed me the fuck off.
Was there anybody there that was there in 94 that remembered you or anything, or was it totally different by that point?
I don't think so. I don't. But let me tell you a funny story. The night I was Triple H, right?
Yes.
I'm standing at the curtain. Triple H's music hit, and I'm at Gorilla, right?
Yep.
And Vince and I don't know, a couple other people over there at the tables or whatever. So when his music hit, the place fucking exploded. I looked at Vince, I went, I'm over, and I walked through the curtain.
For those that don't know, could you lay out the scenario as to why you were playing Triple H?
Nova was the booking talent, And he told me, he said, Hamrick, I've got a spot just for you. And I'm like, okay. So I get there, and it was the Booker T was doing the where he was going to have Triple H come in and hand him the crown. And of course, Triple H wasn't going to do it. So I dressed up as Triple H and went out there and handed him the crown.
That's awesome.
But I knew it was going to be funny because, like, when I read the script, it says skinny Triple H goes out, and when he goes to blow the mist, he fucking chokes on the water. And I went, oh, that's just great.
Yeah.
This is written all over it.
Yep. Nah, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you got to do that. Well, you also, and this is near and dear to my heart because I always tell this story, 2005, you ended up doing a match with Heidenreich. And around that time, I had just started going to indie shows. And I don't know if we had actually interacted at this point yet, but I was at this indie show in Cleveland, and you were in the ring cutting your promo, and there was a lull. So I was one of those fans that felt like I wanted to get myself over, and I yelled, I yelled, "You jobbed to Heidenreich!" And then, without missing a beat, you looked at me, and you said, "Yeah, but I got paid for it, bitch." And I remember I popped so huge.
Sounds like me. Yep.
Yeah, it was just perfect. Do you have any good memories of working that match with Heidenreich?
Wasn't it when he was a Road Warrior or whatever?
I believe so. Yeah, I want to say it was a handicap match.
No.
No, was it a single?
It was him and Animal against me and Chuck something.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a funny story. Not to get off this.
Sure.
WWE was coming to Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is about 3 hours from me. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, man, we should go." And I'm like, "All right, let's go." And this is way before the Hardys started getting over and blah, blah, blah. So we get there and we sneak in the side building, right? So we're sitting there watching Matt and Jeff and a couple other ones work out. And all of a sudden I see Tony Gurria call Jeff Hardy to the thing. And I went, oh, shit, they called us, right? So Jeff comes over. He goes, "Hey, man, Tony Gurria wants to talk to you." And I went, motherfucker, we just got caught. Damn. So I go up and he goes, "You've worked with us before, right?" And I went, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Can you take the Road Warriors finish?" I went, duh, yeah. He said, "All right, cool. Come on back and we're going to get you paid and get you dressed and we'll let you know what you're doing." All right, cool. So I snuck in. I got paid. I got to work the Road Warriors, got to be on TV, and I told all my friends for sneaking in.
That rules so much. That is amazing. What the hell, man?
It was pretty cool, huh?
That's very cool. I mean, it worked out nice for you. It's risky business, but it paid off.
So WWE is in Cleveland, Ohio. I am in Pittsburgh at the time, and I am one of the extras. And so, you're supposed to be there like at 11 o'clock or whatever. I show up at 4, and they said, "Well, who are you?" And I showed them my name. They said, "Well, your name's on the list. Come in and, whatever." So at that time, I saw Tony Gurria having a meeting with the extras, right? So I went to catering. So after I got through eating, I went to Tony Gurria and I went, "Hey, I'm here." He goes, "Well, we've pretty much given all the spots out. You can go home if you want to. We'll see you tomorrow." And I went, "See you tomorrow." So I came in, got paid, ate, left. I was back in Pittsburgh before Raw came on the air.
Only in pro wrestling. That is catering's great from what I hear.
Catering is awesome.
Yeah. Did they have that back in 94?
They did.
Was it just as good?
Probably not as good, but at the time it was just as good. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. That's what I like to hear. You did a lot of work for IWA Mid-South as well. Any good Ian Rotten stories or IWA stories in general?
I liked IWA. I mean, they get a bad rep, and I know Ian gets a bad rep because, he fucks the boys or whatever. But he's always been good to me. He told me, he said, I'm a Chris Hamrick believer. I believe in you, And have you ever seen the match with me and Punk, Spirit of 76?
Several times, yep.
That was fun. That was real fun. The thing about it is, like, I had done that. I was doing that everywhere. And then, like, when I did it there, once the people got quiet, they never came back up except to cheer for Punk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it was almost white heat. They were that fucking mad.
For those that never saw it, lay out what
We did our
exactly you
job. You know what I'm saying? If you go back and watch that match, everybody on ringside, when I did it, you can see them go, you know what I'm saying? They're buying it. Hook, line, and sinker, man.
Yeah. It was the tree
And the
of
way
woe
me and
spot.
Punk played it off was perfect.
Yeah. The tree of woe, right?
Yeah.
Lay it out what exactly you did to create that scenario for those that never saw it.
Well, see, the thing it is I was wrestling Punk, and so Punk comes out. At the time, he was a TNA, and so he comes out and does a promo, said he got hurt at the pay-per-view. He didn't know if he was going to wrestle that night, blah, blah. So I come out and I go, Punk, man, you know, they brought me in to work the best, and you're the best, you know. He goes, well, you know, my head. I said, I ain't even going to touch your head. He goes, you won't touch my head. I'm like, I won't touch your head. He said, all right, then we'll do it. So we end up doing like a couple babyface spots, a couple more babyface spots. And then I do the bump through the ropes. Punk holds the ropes open for me. We had them then. I mean, we had them hook, line, and sinker. And then like he shoots me in, I give him the elbow, and I go up to do the Marrow moonsault, and I do the tree of woe where I catch my knee. And so they lay me down, and I mean, Punk played it off perfect, man. He's over there cradling me, and he's like, man, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Because what people don't realize, okay, if it really happened, that would be your true reaction. You know what I'm saying? If you're friends with the guy that you're wrestling, fuck wrestling, you're going to your friend to see if he's okay.
Yeah.
And if he don't believe it, then you're not going to believe it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So Punk played it off perfect. He's over there cradling me. He's like, man, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And so like they get ready to put me on a stretcher, and I'm like, stand me up. Punk's like, man, don't be a hero. If you hurt, be hurt, you know, go out. I said, stand me up. So he stands me up. Punk does the, you know, sympathy applause all the way around. As soon as he turns around, I drill him in the back of the head with a kick. And then I just started fucking healing him.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite matches from IWA. I mean, it holds up to this day. And like you said, the believability is what really makes that match. You know, as good as you are as a heel and as a baby face and psychology wise, one thing I feel like you were always great for as well was comedy. And one of the things that some older people would argue is that funny doesn't draw money. What are your views on comedy wrestling? Where do you stand on it?
Okay, let me tell you my first experience with comedy wrestling. I went, like I told you, I had that 10-day tour over in England, right? I get there, and I'm watching Jody Fleisch, Johnny Storm, Alex Shane, Doug Williams, and, I mean, these motherfuckers can go. You know what I'm saying? They're working out, and I went, well, I'm competing with that.
Yep.
So I went out and I did comedy. And then let me tell you why it got over, because you've got 7 matches on the show, and 6 matches is wrestling. So if you do comedy, it's going to stick out. And it did. People loved it because it was different. It's kind of like the, what you're saying with the 440. The reason y'all will stick out above everybody else is because you're different from everybody else.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
For sure.
Because y'all are the only ones wanting to be heels. So it makes you stick out even that much more because they're not seeing it every fucking match or every show or every town.
Yeah.
Because everybody's scared to do it, and y'all were doing it and making it work.
Yeah, and there were some real scary situations for us, but we had to show no fear in those moments. Like the couple of riots that we started, or near riots, you know, with garbage being pelted in the ring. Like you can't show fear in moments like that. But man, was I fucking scared, but I got over, right? But the comedy wrestling is something I've always been a big fan of. And in my brain, it's like, especially with 440, all of these guys are like, for the most part, deathmatch dudes, right? And obviously they have wrestling ability too, but all these guys are known for being in death matches. And here I am as this guy, 5'4". I kind of belong, but I really don't. And I know my place in the group. I'm the goon, right? So like, while I can do the hardcore stuff, I really feel like in this situation, knowing my role as like, you know, the little bitch boy, I gotta depend on some of the comedy stuff. And I feel like not only has it set me apart, but it makes me stand out, especially on a show where not everybody is doing comedy wrestling. And I feel like if done correctly, in my opinion, I think it could draw money, especially if you're trying to have the people not see the same shit over and over and over again, like sort of you referenced.
People can only digest so many fucking athletic contests in one night, because then it's just a fucking it's the same match over and over and over, just different guys, man. They do the same fucking cutoff spots. They do the same fucking moves. I mean, that's what I tell people at the seminars. I'm like, if you want to stand out, be fucking different. That's all it takes. Just be something different that everybody else ain't doing.
Yeah. Different, believability. I really think those are at the core, the two things that can make you survive in this climate of professional wrestling.
I told people a long time ago, I said, when I first got in wrestling, Ricky Morton told me, said, be different. I said, so if I'm in a tag match, you've already got 3 guys bumping, so I don't think I should have to bump just to be different. Works for me.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%.
Bumping's overrated anyway. And you know, my career, I'm never considered myself a great worker, a good worker. I took good bumps. I will say I took bumps that nobody else would take. I took stupid bumps. I took bumps that I should be confined to a fucking hospital bed or a wheelchair. And I have been extremely blessed by, you know, being able to do that and walk up straight and not have pains. And you know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, I know a lot of guys have been hurt doing simple shit. And here I am overdoing shit. And, you know, I've never had a broken bone. I've never had a surgery. I've never had stitches. So I'm blessed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I have to interject here, and I have to say that I don't want you downplaying that you're not like the best worker, because I want you to know that I go out of my way when I do any podcasts or interviews with like more prominent people. I always want to try to get in a Tracy Smothers and or a Chris Hamrick reference, because as a fan, I always enjoyed your work. And as a pro wrestler, I appreciate your work so much more and the things that you did in the ring. And I really, truly, honestly believe that you're one of the most underrated guys in the last 20 years of professional wrestling. And having this conversation with you means a lot to me, and your friendship means even more. So I can't thank you enough for taking, you know, time out of your day to just talk with me. It means a lot.
Well, hearing you say that means a lot. I mean, it really, dude, I never considered myself better than anybody. We're all in the same business. I was just lucky enough to get ECW and lucky enough to, you know, do shit that nobody else could do. And, you know, I can't out wrestle you, but I can out bump you. I hope anyway, you know.
Yeah.
But I never looked at anybody like I'm so much better than him, or, you know, we're all wrestlers, man. We're all in the same sport. We're all in the same business. Some people get breaks, some people don't, you know.
Yeah.
Some people deserve breaks, some people don't.
At the end of the day, when you look back at your career, all the things that you've done, what do you think your legacy in professional wrestling will be?
Banging Chrissy Mess. No, it beats any title I ever held, I promise you that.
I believe it.
I'm gonna tell you what really stuck out to me was there's a couple things. Is that, like I said, I never considered myself a great worker, and it really surprises me. Like when I get messages or something saying that you're my favorite wrestler, and I went, well, damn, you got low standards. But like when we used to, you know, you've always heard that you want to wrestle for the fans, not the boys, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just the opposite, because I used to go to shows, and on the shows would be Buff Bagwell, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, Barbarian, Bobby Eaton, and they would be sitting there watching my match. And if I can make them pop, then I'm doing something, because they've seen and done everything there is to do in this business. These people are programmed to pop. They know when to cheer, when to boo. If you can make those motherfuckers pop, you're doing your job. And then, like, another instance is used to do shows when Manny Fernandez was on them, and he would always bring students, and he would make his students go out and watch my match. And that always meant a lot to me. Just to have the I guess the reputation of, and I've heard this before, there's never been a bad Chris Hamrick match. You know, there's a couple guys that say that. Just to have the respect of all the boys that I went out and I busted my ass and I always gave 110%. Hopefully I've done something to help, somebody in the business to get better. And for the fans, just that they respect what I did and appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Just to have them to say that they appreciate it, make it worth doing it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I understand 100%.
So, when a fan comes up and goes, oh man, I watched you back, blah. And, I got an email one time. A guy said, as a kid, his mom would bring him to wrestling and I was his favorite wrestler. And then one day he turns on TV and there I am. I went, wow, that's what makes you want to do what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, the money, don't get me wrong, the money's good, but that appreciation of all the hard work and shit all the bumps that you've taken, all the chair shots, Speaking of Brett Lauderdale, ought to bring me in as an agent. You might want to throw that to him.
I might have to bring that up actually, because I think it would be very beneficial to the locker room.
Well, I've actually talked to Brett when I was thinking about, I said, hey, if I got in ring shape, would you be interested in me coming in working Jordan? Because I can make a kid look like $1 million.
Yeah.
And he's, of course I would, blah, blah, blah. But it just ain't happened. I ain't pushed it because my little girl still, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll tell you a story. Like, I talked to Kenny Omega when AEW was starting. I said, hey, man, just see if there's any interest or whatever. He's like, man, I'm sure there would be, blah, blah, blah. And I asked, I talked to my little girl and she's like, well, Daddy, the weekends are the only time we have to spend together. And I went, say no more. It'll never be mentioned again until, you're gone or married or whatever, if it's not too late, then yeah. But if it's not, then, I've got no regrets whatsoever. None.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, I like that we sort of started this conversation with your daughter and, we're wrapping up with it because it's just like, this goes to show at the end of the day, like, despite everything you've done and how clearly passionate you've been about pro wrestling over the years, it was one of your first loves, but this daughter, I mean, the love that you have for her, it really overtakes that professional wrestling love. And I respect the hell out of that. And I'm proud to know you, proud to call you a friend. And before we wrap this up, I just want to ask you, and I think I know the answer to this one, Chris, in this life that you lead now, what inspires you? What keeps you going?
As far as what? In life?
Yeah.
My little girl. She's my world, dude.
Yeah.
She is my world. I wake up every morning and go to work for her. And like, I wish that I had made better decisions as far as jobs that I have given up and shit to be wrestling. But if it wasn't for wrestling, I never would have met her mom and she wouldn't be here. So I have no regrets whatsoever. And I had fun as a wrestler. I really fucking had fun. But, some things are more important. Like I said, I played wrestler for 40 something years. It's time to play dad.
Yeah. That's super cool, man. I'm super happy for you that you're in a good place in your life, and your daughter is a very lucky girl. Me,
was you ever there for the I think it was in EPW for me and Chris Candido?
I was not there for that.
So they bring in Francine, Marty Jannetty, New Jack, Balls Mahoney, Chris, me, probably a couple more. And so like it was booked me against Candido, right? And so like I get there and Candido's like, man, they're trying to change it. And I went, change what? And he's like, well, they won't put me in blah blah. I said, fuck that. So I went to the promoter and went, you booked me versus Chris, you advertised me versus Chris, you're doing me versus Chris. He goes, okay, we can do that. And then like everybody's expecting, ECW versus ECW. This is going to be hardcore. This is going to be fucking blood and guts, right?
Yeah.
So we wrestle each other. We do a couple of spots. We go out through the team. And this is where I got the Rock mask and he got the Triple H mask. And we got in the ring and we wrestled each other. It was Triple H and Rock. But I'm going to tell you what, the people fucking loved it.
I'm sure.
Because they weren't expecting it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's awesome. Didn't you come up with R-Truth too when he first started?
I did. Me and Truth used to be a tag team, rock and rap.
Give me a couple R-Truth stories before we wrap it up.
Well, I'll tell you the most recent one here in a minute. But yeah, Ronnie, I think Jackie Crockett brought Ronnie to Stallions promotion. And at first he was a manager, and then we taught him to wrestle, and then me and him ended up teaming up. And I'm gonna tell you what, man, Manny Fernandez absolutely loved me and Ronnie. He loved me and Ronnie to death. And next thing I know, he's in WWE, and he's good. He is so good. He's one of the best talents they got up there if they would just let him go.
Oh, yeah.
He's so funny, man. So anyway, I did a show in Maine, and on Sunday afternoon, I'm coming through Charlotte Airport, right? And I was like, I should run into a fucking wrestler or something here. Come on. Turned around the corner, right into Ron Killings. I went, you are fucking kidding me. I looked at God on, you're joking, right? There stood Ron Killings. He's like, Chris fucking Hamrick. I went, yeah. He goes, do I have your number? I went, no, you kayfabe me. And he's like, call me right now and I'm going to have your number. And, we'll stay in touch. I haven't talked to him since then. I mean, I don't want to bother him because I know he's real busy on the road and all. But, yeah, Ronnie's my boy. He actually introduced me to my daughter's mom in Pittsburgh at a bar.
That's awesome. See,
so I don't know whether to congratulate him or slap shit out of him.
I appreciate you.
Listen, tell your boy Atticus.
Okay.
When I fucking message him, even though he don't know me, probably don't know who I am, tell him he fucking replies back to me. I don't like that. Don't kayfabe me.
Now he's got heat with me. I'm gonna say something to him, man. That's bullshit.
No, I'm just fucking. I know he's busy. He's good. He's very good.
And I know he would love to hear that because he's a good kid.
I'll tell you what, man. I love all of 440. I really do.
Thank you.
Actually, well, Paige or what was Ricky. I sent him a message one time. Because he did the perfect fucking finish for a gimmick match. It was a hardcore match, and something happened to where he tapped out or some shit. It was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. And I told him, I was like, that is so great. And I have such a great fucking idea if you're going to continue this, right? He's like, all right, let me hear it. And I went, well, I'm not a fucking secretary, and I'm not typing all this shit down. So you're more than welcome to call me, right? And he's like, oh, well, I'm super busy, blah, blah, blah. And so he just blew me the fuck off, man.
Oh, but let's see. Listen, we live in a world where people don't want to make phone calls anymore, and I feel like that should happen more often, okay? Because it's like...
yeah, but I'm not a fucking secretary. I'm not going to sit there and type a whole fucking angle.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing with you. I feel like sometimes phone calls are necessary, right? Like, but these young kids, they don't want to do it, man.
So the night that me and Tracy worked him and his partner for JT at that big
nothing.
Super show.
Yep.
I forget who was riding with me, but I pull up to the thing, and the guards, they're supposed to get names and shit, right? And he went, who are you? And I went, are you a wrestling fan? He's like, no. I went, Rich Steiner. He looked down, get Rich Steiner, and I went right on through.
Oh, my God. Just, you're out of control. You're out of control. I love it, though.
I have fun, and I've had fun in the ring. I think if you go in and you're too busy on concentrating on the matches shit, that you lose that perception to the people.
Sure.
So I try to have fun. Like when, the guy be twisting my arm or something, referee go, what about? And I go, yeah, ring the fucking bell. This hurts. Referee go, what? Yeah, ring the fucking bell. Are you serious? Ring the fucking bell. Man, are you certain? No, don't ring the bell, you fucking idiot. And I mean, we just have fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it so much that the fans don't know.
Right. And I feel like so many guys, they're so focused on their match that they can't be in the moment and enjoy the experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You ignore the crowd, and that's why, baby. And I'll tell you something else that pisses me off. What's his fucking name? Marcus Mathers. You know who I'm talking about?
Yep. I've wrestled him a couple times.
He begs for fucking applause. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't fucking beg for it, man. Let it come natural. It will come naturally because he's over like a son of a bitch anyway. But he sits there and he does this every time he does something, a move or something. I'm like, dude, stop that, because it looks like you're begging. And I hate that. Let it come natural. It's like I tell people, okay, Greg, me and you, I'm the promoter. Me and I've got you booked against Marcus Mathers. Okay. It's Cleveland, Ohio. It's sold the fuck out. You going over or under?
I mean, I don't care what happens, right? Like,
no, you going over or under? I'm asking you. I'm making the finish. So,
okay.
What's it gonna be? You up or up? You up or down?
I'll put the kid over.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like what you were saying earlier. I'm already over. He's still trying to establish himself. And let's say in this scenario, I know, let's just say I'm a bad guy. I don't know. I'd rather let this kid shine.
Okay, let's say you're babyface. Let's say you're babyface and that you're working Atticus.
Okay.
Who's over? And why?
Oh, boy. You put me on the spot here.
No, tell me what you honestly feel, not what you think that I should hear or what I want to hear or what you think that I think the right answer is. Go with your heart. Tell me why.
I mean, I just want what's best for the story. I mean,
there is no story. There's no you and him wrestling each other. This is it. Sold out house. You're, Cleveland, Ohio. Who's over and who's under?
I'll put Addy over.
You're a baby face.
I'll be a baby face.
Why are you gonna put him over?
I'm going to, I don't know. I'd rather him leave with some heat. I'm okay. I'll get my fucking babyface shit in. I think I'm better on the sell. I think I'll get more sympathy that way. And I think in the end, a lot of the times for me as a babyface too, when I go under after getting my ass kicked the whole time and I fight back and I show that fucking underdog strength that I have, I think in the end, the crowd still has respect for me. I don't lose any. I think sometimes I'm more over in losing. So I guess that's why.
Okay, so what's the last thing people remember?
Finish.
What's the most thing people remember the match?
Finish.
Okay, so then your baby face overshining has nothing to do with that, right?
Oh, God. Yeah, you're right.
So who's over? You or him?
Shit. Oh, God.
Okay, this is a one-time deal. I'm only doing this show one time. I'm only doing this match. There's no fucking comebacks. There's no build-up. There's no angles. It's just you, him, in a fucking wrestling match. Who's over?
I don't know. What? Tell me. What would you do?
He would be over.
Okay.
And here's why. Because if I did my job as a babyface, once he gets his heat and leaves the ring, I stand up. I do not raise my hands. I look at the crowd like, fuck, I almost had him. I'm sorry, And if they give you that standing ovation, that is better than this fucking programmable win any day of the fucking week, because it comes from here.
I don't know why I didn't just say that, because I literally do that every time I come to a new place. I do the stand up. I look around. I see if I get the applause, and yeah, I do that all the time.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying raise your hand. This is programmed.
Yeah.
If you're a baby face, get this is automatically pop. Yeah, that don't come from the heart. That comes from, okay, yeah. But if you did your fucking job and you lost, and they start fucking giving you that sympathy applause and it turns into a standing ovation, that comes from here. That means more to me than the programmable win any day of the week.
100%. I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason that I say that is because IWA Mid-South, it was me and 5 other guys, and I told them, I was like, whatever. And we were all going to do dives. I said, listen, this is your time to shine. There's a good crowd out there. Make it believable, make it rememberable. And they did the shittiest ass dives you've ever seen in your life. I did a fucking moonsault from the top to the floor. And I did a couple other cool shit. And I ain't gonna lie, when they first announced me at the beginning, it was nothing like, oh God, he's from ECW, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And so I hit the guy with a suplex stunner, and heel pushed me out and stole the win, right? So as soon as they all left, I stood in the ring, I looked around, and slowly, surely, everybody started standing and applauding me. And I was like, oh my God, this is who really won tonight,
Sure.
And to me, that's better than any programmable bullshit any day.
I agree. There's so much, there's too much that's manufactured in pro wrestling. And again, at its core, it's the emotion that we invoke as performers is what it's all about.
Yeah, fucking Jordan sent me a text. He goes, "Hey man, what's your thought on the no rope barbed wire match? I think it's stupid. Why? What do you want?" He's like, "Well, me and Atticus are doing one, and I will tell you this. And Brad, if you're watching this, I love Atticus and I love Jordan, but Jordan should have went over because of all the shit that Atticus had done to Jordan. Jordan never got a payoff. That should have been his payoff. He should have went over in that match. I honestly believe that." Because, I mean, otherwise, Addis just got away with everything that he did to Jordan, and now the feud's over.
I can't argue that.
I mean, really, he's fucked him. He put his eye, in the thing, and blah, blah, blah. And so, like, they have a no rope barbed wire match where you think, okay, this is where Jordan gets his revenge, and then Addis still goes over. And I went, that made no sense to me. I'm sorry. I don't know if wrestling's changed that much since I've watched it or what, but I just don't get that. To me, that was a wrong decision. It really was.
Yeah, it hasn't changed that much. I promise you. I appreciate talking to someone with sensibility like yourself, and I feel like we should do this more often. Can we do this more often? Can we stay in touch?
Yeah, okay. I'll talk to you next year.
Hey, listen, if someone wanted to find you on social media, I know you have social media accounts, or they wanted to maybe get a cameo from you, you're on the Cameo website. How could they do that? You
know what? All this time, and you ain't said not one damn thing about Jericho putting me over.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did put you over. Wait a minute. Does that go back to Smoky Mountain?
It does.
Okay,
it sure does.
Tell me about that, because obviously you left a lasting impression on Chris Jericho.
It was funny because my boy Jordan sent it to me at first, and I was fucking with Jordan. I went, I don't know why they're saying that's me. That's not me. He's like, well, they're saying it's you. And I went, it's not me, fucker. I'm telling you, it's not me. And then I was like, I'm lying. It's me. He's like, you asshole. And so like somebody else sent it to me. I don't think Jericho had actually put me over yet. I can't remember if he had or not. But then, like, when he did put me over, I sent that to Jordan. I went, hey, did you see this? And Jordan was like, don't be a mark.
That sounds about right.
But yeah, that's what it was. It was a move that him and Lance had done. And he put, the guy taking the move was supremely talented ECW Chris Hamrick. I was like, wow, that's cool there. That's really cool. Yeah, and man. It's not because, I know Jericho's a mega star and a Hall of Famer and whatever, but it's kind of like one of the boys putting me over. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's just like the thing with the pictures and shit. I don't consider it being a mark. I consider it taking a picture with a friend. And, I don't give a fuck who they are, where they've been, what they've done. We're on the same show this time. So, I'm not a bit ashamed to go up and say, hey, man, can we do a picture? Because you just never know, dude. I wish I'd had 10 more, 1,000 more pictures of me and Candido together.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. When I started in wrestling, it was sort of ingrained in my brain that you don't want to be a mark and walk up to other wrestlers and take pictures with them. And as I get older,
think about all the shit you missed.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. And pictures, videos, they mean so much more to me now because, like, I don't know if there's a heaven or hell or somewhere we go when we die. So, like, maybe these memories in photos or videos or the impressions that we make on people are all that we leave behind. And I think about that a lot. And I just want you to know that obviously you made a big impression on the wrestling industry. Some of the biggest names in wrestling still remember you fondly. And I'm nobody, but I will talk fondly about you till the end of time. So I don't know if that means anything, but I really appreciate everything you've done for this industry and things that you keep doing for the younger guys that are smart enough to reach out to you for advice.
Tracy always told me, make the world, leave it better than what it was when you came in it.
That's what it's all about.
And I can tell you what you're doing wrong. And if you want to, listen to me, that's fine. If you don't, just be a shitty wrestler the rest of your life. I don't care,
Yeah.
I'm not offering you just a day I'm hearing myself talk. And if I didn't care, I wouldn't watch your match and I wouldn't offer to criticize it or, you know what I'm saying? Like, people just don't do that anymore. Like you sit in there and you got Ricky Morton in the locker room. If you don't ask him to watch your fucking match and critique you, then you don't want to learn. Because and then when you walk up to him, what's the first thing you ask him? What did I do wrong? Not, hey, did you see me do this? What about this? Hey, did you hear the people that? Fuck that. What did I do wrong and what do I need to do to fix it?
Yeah.
And that's the people that truly want to learn. But you know as well as I do, Greg, indie wrestlers, if they're on shows, they've already made it. They're not going to listen to anybody else. They're not going to do any more training. They're not going to learn anything else. They're there. They don't need anything else. And it's been that way forever.
Yeah.
Guys will start training. They'll train for 6 months. They get booked on a show. Training's done. They're on shows now. They're done. They're on the big show. They're not going to train anymore. You know, and it's a shame. It really is. It's a shame that our business is not like what it was when I came in. Because when I came in, you didn't just walk in and go, hey, I'm a wrestler. I ordered a pair of boots and I watched TV and blah, blah, blah. You got your ass handed to you and showed that you wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And if you wasn't tough, you didn't make it. I'm not saying I'm tough, but I'm just saying that, you know, I was in there with Wahoo McDaniel and Johnny Valentine and guys that didn't play around, you know. They took this wrestling, they took their business serious, and you had to earn their respect to get in it.
Yeah.
You didn't just walk in and go, hey, I'm here and I've got 25 people that pay to watch me wrestle. Oh God, you're on the show then, you know, main event.
Yeah.
You know, it's just bad what it's came to. It really is. I love wrestling today. Don't get me wrong. I think it's some of the fucking best, you know, athleticism in the business, but it's just, it's a little too easy to get in for everybody.
I agree. It's one of those things where it's like, again, we live in a day and age where everybody can get a participation trophy. And I think there needs to be winners and losers. And listen, just not everybody is cut out to be a professional wrestler. You can probably contribute in some other way, but most people are very one-track minded. If they can't be a wrestler and they can't have the attention on them, that they don't want to contribute in any form or fashion. I often say that if for my disability, if I couldn't perform in the ring, I would have found another way to be a part of this. And most guys, they're oblivious. If you can't do it, find something else to do in wrestling, or just, you know, go do something else, man.
When I was in ECW, I got hurt. And so they started having me manage Julio and Easy. And so, you know me, I'm a heel manager. I've got a mouth. I can take bumps. And none of the other managers could do that, you know. And so, like, I think they actually thought about keeping me as a manager. And so I came up and I gave Dreamer a highlight video. And I said, hey, not complaining at all, because I'm just glad to be here. I will do whatever you want me to do, but I just want you to see the shit that I could do. And so, like, Dreamer came up to me. He goes, man, I love the DVD. He goes, me and Paul are going to watch it next week or this weekend. So we're sitting there, and Dreamer says, Paul watched it. He loved it, blah, blah, blah. Paul actually made an appearance that night. He opened up the locker room and he said, hey, guys, just want to let you know I'm here. He closed the door and he opened it back up. He goes, Hamrick, watched your DVD, fucking loved it. And then I started wrestling again. But, I mean, it's like I told Dreamer, I will manage, I will referee, I will do whatever you want me to do. I am just happy to be here, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
These guys don't have that attitude. If I can't wrestle, or I'm not going to do it. And then the thing is you've got guys that are heels one places, baby other places. Man, if you're a heel, be a fucking heel. Be a heel everywhere you go. Have that reputation of, I'm an asshole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't be, well, I'm in another town, I'll be babyface. That's bullshit. Because then people get confused and they don't know whether to cheer you or boo you. And you don't know whether to cheat or not. And you're not going to cheat because nobody cheats anyway anymore.
Right. World's a much smaller place. So it's not like back in the day where maybe you could be a good guy somewhere and a bad guy somewhere else and they wouldn't find out about it. I mean, with the internet now, yeah, so you can't do that. Chris, can we do a part 2 of this?
We can do any what you want to, buddy.
And when I say that, I will actually be in contact with you. I swear by it. I promise you.
Okay, but if you don't, you're a liar. And I will let people know you're a liar.
Okay. You're going to get me canceled, man. Please don't do that. Hey, what's your social media?
Just High Flying Hamrick. I don't know. Chris Hamrick.
I think it's Chris Hamrick ECW.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Chris Hamrick ECW for Twitter. And yeah, just Fuck, I don't know. Google it, man. Fuck.
All right. I'll have
So
everyone.
one last story.
All right.
WWE sent me a fucking application for Tough Enough one time, right? I don't know if it was by accident or what. And it said, send a video and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't want to do fucking Tough Enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the one that gets paid and leaves and eats and goes home. So I put, Google me, bitch. And I sent it back and I never heard from them.
What a shocker.
I'm still waiting. Maybe it'll happen.
I have faith. I really do.
Got my fingers crossed.
Johnny Ace will be calling any day. Chris, I can't thank you enough for your time. And we're going to do this again soon, okay?
Hey, is this the longest one you've ever done?
I think it might be, and I'm okay with it.
I'm cool. I just want to break the record.
I think you did.
Cool deal. I hope you enjoyed it, man. I really do.
I did. I think everyone listening is going to love this too.
Cool. Let me know about what kind of feedback you get.
That was the interview with Chris Hamrick. I know I thanked him on air several times, but I sincerely cannot thank him enough for his time. Chris, one of my all-time favorite people in the business, incredible human, and he is missed as an in-ring performer, and hopefully down the line, someone takes advantage of his wealth of knowledge within the industry and gives this man a freaking job, because he should be helping to train future generations of professional wrestlers. And man, just what a fantastic conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. And I can't wait to have him back on the show. And we will have him back on the show because I love Chris. I just love the guy. And again, Aaron's not here because he shut his mic off. So I had to record this in post. And so that's it. We've already had a long episode. I'm not going to keep you much longer. Can't thank you guys enough for the continued support that you give the show. Sorry that this episode was uploaded a little bit late today. I've been a little bit busy, backed up, but it's okay because each and every Wednesday, I still deliver. It's what I do. I care about putting out a product consistently for you guys, a good product that you can enjoy. And I hope you really enjoyed today's episode. Make sure you follow the podcast on social media at Iron on Wrestling. Make sure you follow me over on social media at Gregory Iron on Twitter, at Gregory_Iron on Instagram. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/The Handicapped Hero. Go to my Pro Wrestling Tee store, prowrestlingtees.com/Gregory Iron. You can buy my shirts. You can buy Aaron shirts. You can buy Iron on Wrestling podcast shirts. Of course, go to my website, gregory-iron.com, where you can book me for pro wrestling seminars, motivational speaking, so many things, or you can DM me directly. We can work something out, work out the details so I can be part of your live event or school gathering. And of course, you can find Aaron on social media at Fair to Air or at Fair to Aaron, Twitter, Instagram. I can't remember which one's which. He's there. Check him out. Good man, even though he's an actual moron sometimes. That's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in this week. And I don't know, you're the best. I appreciate the support. Can't do it without you. And until next week, here is a sweet, sweet kiss goodbye.